Though seriously, I assume we're not opening the canal.
We can. I brought it out. All right.
Did you order 2?
I did. One to save and one to open.
You're really excited, aren't you? New people, new smells.
That's right. And we are
kisses.
live. And kisses. Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 213, your once-weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
I'm Ian.
Welcome to the show, everyone. We're normally on Wednesday night, so thank you so much for joining us on this random Thursday. If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk tech, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, sometimes some Star Trek. All super chats are read on the air, so long as they will not permanently demonetize my channel. We will be drinking alcohol on the show, and if you're drinking along with us, I will try to give some early show shoutouts in the chat, so let me know what you're drinking at home. And last but not least, if you want to join the super secret chat and the even more super secret after party, think about joining the Patreon. Link is down in the video description. As a bonus, you'll get exclusive access to the Discord server where you can talk with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, Ian, all of the hosts from Talking Heads, and take part in the awesome community that hangs out over there. You're official now.
I will add it to my LinkedIn.
Excellent. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I was on the Tech Deals show a couple of days ago.
Yep.
I'm currently in the middle of a 3-week tour of the US.
Yep.
For those that haven't followed my journey, at Ian Cuttress on Twitter, I was in Hawaii with Qualcomm. They had their tech summit, new smartphone chips, new laptop chips. The key thing there is going to be what they're going to announce next year with Nuvia. But then spent some time in Austin with our good friend Patrick Kennedy from Serve the Home.
Yes, awesome guy.
If you like Jeff's content, Patrick is very much of a similar ilk.
Yep.
They go very well together. I think you two need to do a podcast together.
We totally need to do a podcast together. That's been on our list, but yeah. I spent a year moving, and then he spent a year moving.
Yep.
So it's like...
I mean, to be honest, I spent the time in his house, and he is still moving.
I know.
That guy has just purchased a 6,000 square foot house, and it's just him.
Yeah.
It needs furniture. It needs furniture, but that's fine. So I decided to come. Was in Austin, spent a day in Dallas with Tech Deals.
Yep.
There's a 3-hour stream over on their channel. Then come to Portland, where I'm spending a couple of days in the delightful company of both Intel and Jeff. I have commandeered Jeff to be my cameraman. But we had a great day today.
Yes.
And then after a couple of days here in Portland, I'll be in San Francisco at an IEEE conference called IEDM, International Electron Devices Meeting, where there are some papers on the next generation of semiconductor technology. Talking 1 nanometer, we're talking 2D transistors. It's very much research focused, so it's still 5 to 10 years out. Mm-hmm. But if you want to keep on the pulse of the latest developments in that's the sort of thing I think I crave in this industry, this tech. A lot of people focused on the end product, the devices, the chips, and don't get me wrong, love the chips. I think my research background is where the passion culminates. I mean, I go into those sorts of events and I'll sit down and they'll just be essentially 3 days of university lectures. Now, I know a lot of people hate school, but sometimes doing this for so long, you just crave you want to be the sponge again sometimes.
Yeah.
Rather than the delivery mechanism.
So I will say, I spent considerably less time in school than you did, my good friend. But I still always love being the sponge and always looking forward and whatnot. Talking to Intel today, seeing some of the optical 800 gigabit technology that is like on the cutting room floor, ready to make an appearance in the next 12 to 18 months. Yeah. And we had conversations today in the multiple terabits through optical transmission, and got to walk through the whole sequence of how they developed this transceiver technology, and a lot of avenues to it outside of just networking that I hadn't thought of before.
So Jeff,
yes,
what standard Ethernet port does a modern motherboard have, usually?
Standard Ethernet port is still gigabit. It's RJ45 gigabit.
And the new motherboards coming through, 2.5 is becoming a standard.
They're trying to make it a standard, but
and then beyond that, if you want to go enthusiast in the home, it's 10.
You can go 5. 5 is another standard, and then you can go to 10. Most people skip 2.5 and 5 because there's just not a lot of devices out there. And if you're going to invest in speeds greater than gigabit, you just go 10 because it's $5 more than a 5 gig switch.
Yep. And then beyond 10, we start getting into sort of data center levels. So we have 25, 40, 100, 200, 400, 800, and one of the slides we were showing, which I think we can talk about.
I think we can talk about this. You said it was public.
It says public, yep. 1 terabit.
Yeah.
So 100 times more than 10 gigabit.
Yes.
For 3 watts.
Yeah.
Power.
Yeah.
That could be essentially bonded through packaging technology to a CPU, GPU, XPU, whatever you want to call it.
And by the way, this is on one package.
Yeah,
the entire transceiver, XPU, CPU, GPU data one package.
So they did send us a set of slides.
Yes.
Because I know they sent it to me and I forwarded it on to you.
Yeah.
I really want to dig my teeth into that in a proper video about silicon photonics. I mean, one of the limiting factors in computing today is being able to have the compute right next to the memory or the data, or vice versa. If you have 1 terabit of bandwidth from CPU to where your data is stored, opposite ends of the data center, opposite ends of the town, right? At nanosecond latency, at terabit speeds, suddenly computing becomes a different paradigm, which means, Jeff, you're going to have to upgrade your lab.
I totally am. But I'm willing to do that. I am willing to put in the work in upgrading the lab. I was making a joke while we were talking to this guy. I just bought some 40 gig equipment for my house, and all of a sudden I feel just, entirely underdressed for the occasion.
So that 40 gig equipment, if I may ask, did you have a 3-digit cost, a 4-digit cost, a 5-digit cost?
Actually, the majority of it was a 2-digit cost. It wasn't even a 3-digit cost.
I think to go to a terabit, you might have to multiply it by 7 orders of magnitude.
It might be slightly higher, yes, to get the terabit bandwidth speeds. But no, I just bought some decommissioned 40 gig gear, which is my favorite source of equipment. Is 7-year-old old enterprise gear,
which is almost insane that 7-year-old gear is 40 gigabit.
Yeah.
And yet we're still piddling with 1, 2.5
on the home level.
I mean, part of that is at home we still use copper. We're not on optical. Optical's still not a standard properly in the home.
Correct.
Unless
you're Patrick.
Yeah, Patrick Kennedy from Serve the Home. He, with a new house, he installed 100 terabit of fiber throughout his house. So basically, every room can have a point-to-point connection. I think he spent.
Is that better on my mic? I plugged in the wrong port. So, all right, adjusted the wrong port. There, you should be able to hear me better now. Apparently, I was only speaking through yours.
Are you clipping?
Just barely. I talk a lot louder than you do.
Yeah, I mean, Tanmay in the chat says he's still on copper. I think pretty much we all are, unless you're in Jeff's position and have space in your property for a rack. Even
90% of my network is still on copper. Most of my 10 gig out in the garage is still 10 gigabit DACs. The only fiber that I have in my house is I have fiber going to one server simply because I already had the transceiver for it.
Yep.
And the other one is going between my server rack and my office. And that's just a 30-meter run. It's not...
Do you remember when... So for a while, the only source of 10 gig copper was Intel... is it X540 82s? Then we got the X550 82s, which I think were on like a slightly smaller process node because they were slightly low power.
X520 was also one that was available as well.
Yeah, that was a single port version, wasn't it? Yeah. And then a Quantia came along, and they offered multi-mode, which is 2.5, 5, and 10 in chips, and we all said they promised cheaper 10 gig copper solutions because 10 gig copper is quite power hungry. And we said, great, when are the switches going to come? Right? It's all very well having a 10 gig copper port that costs, $70, $100, or it did at the time. Yeah. What we really need is the $250 5-port switches. Correct. I think that's kind of the inception point.
Yeah.
3 years went by. Aquantia were promising us this, and they basically saying it's up to the switch vendors. We've got the silicon. It's up to the switch vendors. Up to the switch vendors. Yeah. And then Marvell bought Aquantia, and it kind of disappeared.
Right.
But now we're starting to see those 5, 8-port, at least 2.5 gig switches.
Yeah.
They're starting to be more reasonably priced. I was lucky because I just happened to be browsing Amazon one day, as you do, and I saw a 24-port 10 gig switch for the equivalent of about $1,000 US, and I did a poll where is your inception point in 10 gig copper? Is it 50 per port? Is it 33 per port? Is it 25 per port? This was, I guess, about 40 per port. Yeah. And I just said, this is quite clearly a misprice. Buy it now. And they honored it. And the next day it went up another $500 equivalent.
Yeah. So I have some gear out in my garage. I have some Microtech gear, which Microtech hasn't had the greatest couple of days. I don't know if you've seen.
Oh no, I haven't.
Apparently, there's an exploit that's prevalent on about 300,000 switches, where if you are internet exposed, if you are on a Microtech router, apparently botnets can brute force the box and enable crypto mining on your switch, as well as basically like man-in-the-middle SSL kind of stuff.
I mean, I'll be honest. Microtech was kind of seen as the cheap solution.
Yes,
and this is sometimes the problem with a cheap solution.
That's exactly right.
I know we've spoken a lot about networking, but your channel is called Craft Computing.
That's right.
Do you want to talk about the craft?
I would love to. And in fact, why don't we start with a little craft here?
This is the craft.
This is the craft. So I know you're probably a wine guy. I also brought out We
discussed this. I'm a cider guy.
You're a cider guy. That's right. You know what? I do have some ciders. Would you be willing to try a dark beer?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the worst night I ever had drinking was I ended up having 3 dark stouts on an empty stomach, and I spent the rest of the evening in the bathroom. And
you just got back from dinner, so you don't have that problem right now.
That's true. That's true.
All right, so we are opening kind of a special bottle. This is the 2020 Bourbon County Stout from Goose Island. This is the Fog, is what it's known as. It's one of their special variants of it. So they have their standard Imperial Barrel-Aged Stout. This one is a stout aged in bourbon barrels blended with Earl Grey tea, black tea, and honey.
Is this just because I'm British you decided to bring out the teas?
I decided to bring out the teas.
Right. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm not a craft beer drinker.
Yeah.
So a lot of those words meant nothing.
Right.
Would you say Cloud? What was the place called?
Goose Island. Is the name of the beer, or the name of the brewery.
Okay.
This is the Bourbon County Stout.
So is that means it's from Bourbon, or is Bourbon County a place?
I don't know if Bourbon County is a place. Bourbon County is the branding of their special reserve beers.
Okay. What do you mean by special reserve in this context?
They're high proof, aged in barrels.
It's like an executive plus.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Flying first class when you're is kind of what that means.
I wish.
Yeah. I've seen your travel budget.
No. You've seen how quickly it gets spent.
Yes, that too. Anyway, cheers to you. Cheers to you all.
Oh, bottoms up. Mm-hmm. Ooh. So you say that was a sour?
It's a stout. That is a little sour. Wow.
It is.
So yeah, this is a stout. So it's a roasted malt based beer, aged in bourbon barrels, which is a type of whiskey that we make over here.
Yes. In Bourbon County, clearly.
Yeah. With Earl Grey tea and black tea and honey blended into the mix.
Okay, so I'm slightly confused because Earl Grey is a type of black tea.
Yeah.
And black tea is about as varied as beer.
Yes. No,
right?
I know.
So I mean, it
could be anything.
Well, that could be the problem. mind you, it's marketed to Americans. No,
Yeah.
no.
Oh,
That's a bit harsh. And you said honey. Okay, yeah, I can definitely taste the honey.
Yeah.
You can definitely taste the honey in there. Brewed, barrel aged, and bottled by Goose Island in Chicago, which is in Illinois. No, I do know it's pronounced Illinois. I'm just yanking your chain. Bright bergamot aroma from Earl Grey tea. Yeah, Earl Grey tea is bergamot. Followed by deep dark tea. Notes with subtle honey sweetness. Yeah,
I'm getting that.
yeah, that's it. Does what it says on the tin, can, bottle, for sure.
Yeah.
What's everybody else drinking?
Yeah. Let's get to that.
Is nobody drinking?
How are you not doing? Novella Hub says tea and crumpets. Somehow I doubt that.
Oh, okay. Somebody's going to say fish and chips.
Yeah.
Fish and chips in chat.
Yep.
Skull's usually drinking something. Where is he?
I'm looking for him. I know he already finished off an Imperial Stout. Imperial just means big ABV. It's usually 10% or above. Let's see.
Because most British beers and stouts are like 8 max.
Yeah.
And I must confess, there are different types of beer drinkers in the UK. Andy from eTechnics is one.
Yes.
And he focuses on the light traditionals, I guess.
He's actually been diving into some of the craft beers lately.
I heard.
Yeah.
Does America have CAMRA? Campaign for Real Ale Society?
I don't think so.
So that is the. I'm sorry to say, but you are the very stereotypical bearded. We
just call it hipster.
It's not so much hipster because they usually it. In the same way you have an aged beer, you can have an aged person, and they're usually aged persons in a little bit of tweed with a full
little
goatee,
yeah.
Sitting in a pub.
Yep.
It's yeah.
If it weren't still 2020, I would be sitting in a pub right now. So
a pub bar. This is the US,
right?
So
we have tap houses.
Yes, I've been to those.
So, yeah,
they're slightly different.
They are.
I'm not too sure I've actually had a pub experience in the US properly in the same way. Yeah. Because I mean, pre-pandemic, I traveled to the US once or twice a month.
Yeah.
Right. 200k miles a year.
Yeah.
It gets on, but there's it's for me that a nice end to an evening would be a nice. I mean, actually, this isn't bad. Now I've had a few sips,
and it warms on you pretty quick. Yeah.
And I know the goal here was to give me something to ease into, because, but also sitting in a pub with a nice roaring open fire, and given that it's about 40 degrees outside, or 5 if you live in the rest of the world, a nice open fire would be needed. Mm-hmm. Instead we have a big puppy here to warm our feet on.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes. Which she does an excellent job at. I almost started a fire. I highly considered it.
I didn't realise you had a fireplace.
I have a fireplace, right? Yeah.
No, but when you say I started a fire, I thought, okay, arsonist.
Oh no, that was the other thing.
We are getting more into the mental state of Jeff.
Yes. All right.
It's funny, actually, because this is only the second time we've actually met in person.
Yes. Yeah.
First time was CES last year. There's me, you, and Epus Fox in the Zotac booth.
Yeah, in the Zotac booth.
And
the morning immediately after the Zotac party.
Which I missed.
Yeah.
And I literally had the first meeting afterwards. And,
yeah. And you had the 9 o'clock, we had the 9:30.
Yeah. Yeah, and if I remember correctly, I literally just spoke to you and Epos. Sorry, I forget his first name. Adam. Yes. Yeah. I literally spoke to the both. I spoke at you.
Yeah.
Because I'm the arrogant SOB when I'm in work mode.
Yes.
This is how it is. You do anything different.
I got that impression from you, and I'm like, either he knows who I am and he doesn't care, or he doesn't know who I am and he still doesn't care.
But you gave me a bottle opener.
I did.
And that is hanging on the pinboard in the back of my videos still.
Which is the reason I give out bottle openers instead of business cards.
Fair.
You remember me.
Fair. My thing on business cards is that I actually have a photo of myself.
Yeah.
Because if you come back from an event, a traditional event, you come back with 30, 40 business cards, and what's the first thing you do when you get home? They just go on your desk, and the next time you see them is when you move them out the way.
Yeah, I still have. I will say for many, many events, I would afterwards sit down, business card by business card, put it into my address book, and the people who I knew I wanted to work with, I would send hey, it was great to meet you.
Yeah.
let's. And so I would spend
you
4
didn't send
hours.
one to me.
I did not. You didn't give me a card.
But no, my whole thing is putting a picture on it. So then when you are in the process of, do I need all this crap?
I knew who you were, and you were kind of.
I remember this. No, my proudest moment is being the biggest dick to Linus when I met him for the first time.
Yeah.
And that's a great story because it has formed a really interesting relationship.
What did you say to him again?
Oh, it was quite early on. I think he was sort of like 3 or 4 years into his channel, and it was just going to build. And I made the person introduce me as Dr. Ian Cuttress. Now, just to be clear, I don't do that. I did that because it was Linus, and because I knew who he was, and it's amazing how much having that on your business card actually helps in Asia.
Yeah,
it opens doors that didn't normally exist.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, it's and I could tell he was a bit deer in headlights because he knew who I was through Anantech, and he worshipped at the Temple of Anand for a while.
Right.
And I was there by proxy, so. And since then it's a joke we have.
Dr. Ian Cuttress. Yeah.
Hey! I don't mandate it. A lot of people gave me stick for changing it on an Antec like last year. I mean, I did my PhD like a decade ago now, and I hadn't used it aside from my business cards until that time. It was at that time I had a bunch of industry peers, executives, people who I've known for a while trust, saying, you are the only person in your sphere who does this and has one, so you should use it to your advantage.
Absolutely.
And
I agree.
It's interesting, especially now as I've done more YouTube content, tech potato.
Yes.
What's your minimum specification?
He did the thing.
It's weird.
It's very crafty of you.
Especially as, I frequent you. I'm actually more on your after party just because of the time of day in the UK. But I go on tech deals, I go on PC World, and it's amazing just how many people latch onto others if they don't say the not. I was telling you about this earlier. It's a weirdly heartwarming defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. PhD can be difficult. For any of you out there who are on that academic route, good luck to you. Mine was a piece of piss. and if you want to know what I did, I do actually have a stream about it. I was teaching a very specific group of scientists how to make their code multi-threaded. Now, if any computer scientists are out there, you know that in C++, that's as easy as saying hashtag OMP parallel, or along those lines.
Right.
That's my first year of my PhD, just doing that, and then learning how to program graphics cards, which again was a little bit harder, but it worked.
We do have a couple super chats real quick, and then I'll tell you how I ran into Linus the first time.
Did you knock him over? I mean, you there's a height difference between us.
There's a
and Linus is about my height.
Yes.
So if you knocked him over, I wouldn't be surprised.
So Kren sends over five Aussie dollars. Good day. Hello. Ian wants to know when you're coming back to the country, if you've served your time yet.
No, I mean it's been fun. It's my first trip since February last year, which is, I think it's the longest time since I've been in a plane. I would say on a plane, but technically you're in the plane. If you're on the plane, something's gone wrong.
Right.
Yeah. In about the last 10 years, the longest that I've not been on a plane. So I thought, let's come to the US. Let's do a round tour. I mean, next time I come round, I still need to go see Wendell, and then go do some of the East Coast IBM stuff. So,
a couple more super chats, but yes.
Sorry, I will.
On that note, no.
I will derail the
that's
conversation.
Totally
that is my job.
Scott, $5. Jeff, check the phantom power on your mic. It's dead, and that's what cued me into. I had turned up the wrong input. So in my office, this mixer is normally set up with channels 1 and channel 3. And that's so I don't confuse the two, because one of them is the overhead and one of them is the mic that I use for talking heads.
So you have 1 and 3, and so you don't confuse 2.
So I don't
Got it.
Yeah, so I don't... well, it's so I can find it quickly and I don't glance down and go, that's clearly the one I want. So I set up this setup here with these mics, and I plugged in channels 1 and 2.
But you moved to 3.
My brain turned up channels 1 and 3. So that's what happened.
Autopilot, it's been a long day.
It has been. Sherman Design, £5. I don't know if I give that to you, or how do I spend that?
YouTube gets 30%, unfortunately.
I know.
I always recommend that if you're going to give this guy any money in Super Chat, or you're nice and you do it to me, first get YouTube Premium, because that just helps everyone.
Yes.
It really does.
We make more money from that than a standard view by a factor of
10,
20-ish.
And it helps every creator, so you're not just giving it to one.
Right. Anyone you watch gets more money per view, and you spread the love a little bit.
I mean, you are giving money to the Google machine,
right?
But you would do as a Super Chat anyway.
Right. I mean, they're still taking their cut, but you're helping everyone instead of just me.
Yeah.
And actually, if you just want to give me like $1, go join the Patreon, because honestly, they take 3%. versus 30%. Plus, you get to hang out in the Discord with me.
And 100 other nutballs.
Right. 750 is what my Discord is up to now. Anyway, Shearman, £5. 1 terabit. I nearly spit my tea out, as we were talking about that. Harley sends over $5. If you've kept current on your MikroTik patches, the holes have been fixed for a while now. Yeah. They did this the right way, where they sent a patch for the switches about 2 months ago that fixed the issue, and then they just now disclosed that there was an issue. Responsible
disclosure.
Exactly.
Was the issue found internally or by an external?
I believe this one was found internally.
Okay,
but I don't think they specified, so it could have been either or.
Yeah.
So this is the right way to disclose an issue like this, is send out the patch and then let people know, hey, we sent out a patch 2 months ago. You need to apply this because this exploit existed.
Oh yeah, I suspect sysadmins on the ball may have at least maybe half of them.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends how often you update your Switch firmware, I guess.
Right. Which you should.
and if you can do it without bringing the rest of the Switch down.
Right. Or just schedule downtime Sunday at 2 a.m. like the rest of us.
you want to keep that 4 nines uptime.
That's right. Novella Hub, $5. Thank you so much. Drinking a Firestone Walker 2021 Kentucky Mule Strong Ale, 11.8%.
Again, words I still don't understand.
Kentucky Mule inspired strong ale. So a strong ale is just a bigger, bolder, usually a little bit maltier ale.
Okay.
And it's Kentucky Mule inspired, which is a cocktail with ginger beer and vodka. Or no, that's bourbon and vodka. Yeah, bourbon and ginger beer. That third one. Bourbon and ginger beer is Kentucky Mule.
I would talk to you to the ends of the earth about CPU microarchitecture. I kind of glazed over.
It's also been a long day. American Cosworth, here we go. He said he had a bunch of questions for us, and so I think we'll start off with this. But let me talk about my first run-in with Linus.
Okay.
And I use that word specifically, run-in. Because...
run in, run over.
Run in. So, almost run over. So, my very first CES was 2018. I know I'm kind of a youngin' in this, but 2018, my first CES. Monday morning, Corsair decided to hold a 7 a.m. presser.
Yeah. Wait, CES?
Yeah.
You say?
Yeah.
That's weird. I don't remember that.
Monday, 7 a.m.
Dear.
Now, most of the YouTubers that like...
Oh, was it a YouTuber press conference?
No. It was Corsair. They announced a keyboard. They had their...
That's why I didn't care.
Yeah, it was just a keyboard and a mouse combo. It was the game from your couch thing, is what they announced. The 67 IP67 or something like, or
that. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, K67. Excuse me. But yeah, that's what they announced. They also had like a lap desk that you could set the keyboard and mouse on. It's like, yeah, I'm gaming, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
So that's what it was. Anyway, so my very first CES, my very first conference of any kind, and of course I'm running 5 minutes late, and so right. So I get there and they've already closed the door, and I said, hey, I'm supposed to, and they go, oh yeah, go right in. So they open the door. And I don't expect I expect everyone to be like facing away. Instead, they open the doors and all the chairs are lined up this way and they're facing over here.
Yep.
And the chairs are only like 4 feet from the door. And so I just like took like 2 steps, and I'm fairly tall, fairly long stride.
Yep.
I take 2 steps into this room and I basically run into this line of chairs and I go shh like this.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And Linus is right here. He's sitting in the chair right by the door, and I almost fall on top of him.
It's because he already has his video edited or recorded, and he just wants to get out. That's why he's nearest the door.
Right, yeah. So he's the very first chair by the door. And this is the only look I get from Linus. He goes... He just looks up, rolls his eyes, and goes back to whatever he was doing, whatever he was listening to.
It's
now, to be fair, I almost ran the dude over.
Yeah, he didn't know who you are.
He didn't know who I was.
He didn't know if you were press. Didn't know if you were a member of the company.
Right.
Yeah.
He just go, who's this idiot? It was pretty much his reaction. Like, I would have done the same thing to anyone who.
So you mean he didn't order a G&T?
No, he did not. No.
It's that reminds me of a similar story with another member of the press who I don't work with anymore.
Uh-huh.
I was at a press conference. Because I wear a suit, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a vestige from when Anand ran Anandtech. He was 14 at the time when he started. Mm-hmm. So the only way he would actually get any attention is if he went to events in suits.
Right.
So the trend has kind of continued.
Right.
And so I managed to get into, I think, the ASUS press event at Computex.
Mm-hmm.
I got in the doors before everybody else because people thought I worked there.
Yeah.
Because I wore a suit. So I went down and I picked the best seat, which is usually... a seat with nobody in front of you, but not always in the first row.
Right.
And slightly off center so you can see the rest.
Yeah, you got the aisles kind of in that triangle. You pick like second or third row, but unobstructed. Right.
Yeah. And I sat there and 20 minutes to go, so I'm on my laptop, I'm writing up a news post. Yeah. People start to fill in, almost full. This guy who was a bit big-headed, I don't know if he still is, I don't see him at events anymore, comes up to the front. He's clearly late, so he's not got a front row seat, or he's not got a seat in the first 6 rows actually. And he looks around, turns around to the seats, looks at me, sees a seat like 8 along that's empty, and looks at me and says, "Can you move up?" Not can I get past? Can I move up? I knew who he was because he had a bit of a. He was a known. At least in smartphone circles anyway.
Right.
Yeah, and I went, no. And he gave me a look as if, what?
Yeah.
He didn't expect me to say no.
Yeah.
It's funny because in those situations, I'm there to do a job.
Right.
And I got in here first, by hook or crook. I got in here first. Right. I got the premium seat.
Yeah.
Why would I give it up to you, who's being a bit of a...
Bit of a knob, as you would say.
I was going to say, is this a family-friendly show? He was a bit of a dick.
We're PG-13.
PG-13.
So dick, knob, we can say those. So, yeah.
Which is funny because
we talked all about Intel's knobs today.
Yeah, Intel has lots of knobs.
Lots of knobs.
And I interviewed the guy in control of the knobs.
That's right.
I also told you about a story.
He's seen knobs you never knew about.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can fine tune the knobs, right?
Yeah.
Which is funny because
takes a very steady hand.
I was telling you about a video I made. So I'm into weird tech stuff because I think everybody's seen CPU, GPU, whatever, switch. I had never heard of cable pulling lube before. So I'm there at Patrick's house, and I've already said, he had 100 terabit of fiber installed. I found in his house a gallon of cable pulling lube.
Right. So I only buy it in quarts. So don't look at me.
So I created
I usually
a video.
just lick my hand.
Yeah. Have you got the tissue to say? I created a very crass video about essentially doing a 2-camera piece about how lube is important and how you have to protect your wires with a sheath and then cover them in lube to pull them through small holes.
Yeah.
This is a 4-minute video, and I don't acknowledge the fact that it is actually a giant dick joke.
Yeah.
Those
are the best dick jokes.
I have the video.
They really are.
And I've been told not to publish it because it's not my brand. And now that I've said it on your channel, maybe it is.
I say go for it. I don't know who gave you that advice, but
I'm trying to be a professional here. I've got a suit on and everything.
But your channel name is Tech Potato, and it's like I try to be as professional as I can, but I'm still me. And
it's some in this industry you still have to have a laugh.
Yeah.
And I think some people forget that by being overtly serious. Now, don't get me wrong. My brand is built on serious.
Right.
As serious as munching on a wafer can be.
You have a reputation.
It.
I was gonna bring a wafer up to let you chew on one of my wafers. I have one downstairs.
You got given a wafer today.
I did. I have a couple wafers in my collection.
It's funny, that guy offered you the wafer, didn't offer me the wafer because I definitely don't have one. That's all right. I'll get one eventually.
Yeah, but I didn't get sampled. And he goes, "Do you want this?" And I went, "Yeah, I'll take that." And he goes, "There's no processor." And I went, "I don't care."
It's specifically we're talking about the wafer that the i9-12900K comes with, and it's just, I guess it's a plastic wafer.
Yeah, it's a plastic wafer. The CPU, it's a case for the CPU.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool packaging. I was really digging it, and I was actually kind of ticked off when I found out that was the reviewer packaging that was going out.
Well, no. So that's the retail packaging.
That's the retail packaging. Okay.
Reviewer packaging was different.
Yeah, but I'm like, that is cool. I want one of those, but I'm not going to go buy a 12900K just because I want one of those. Yeah. And this dude had one up on his desk and unprompted, like I'm not even looking that direction, and he goes, "Hey, you want this?" Yes. Yeah,
he's a sort of dude that has a dozen. So.
Right.
Yeah.
We do have a couple questions. Let's start with American Cosworth, who sends over $5. Thank you very much. This is a great question. We have processors such as the Apple M1 that are competing with certain x86 CPUs. Do you think that ARM will surpass x86 in general, or if not, why?
In general is such a vague term. If we're just talking in terms of benchmark performance, between Ryzen 950, 950 and the 1200K and the M1, in certain aspects, they're almost all equal, except that the M1 is lower power down to here, right? That's the main differentiator.
That's what we're on right now. This is an M1 running at 35 watts.
It's if you go over to a Nantech, I can't remember what the last review we did where we so we run a test industry benchmark called Spec. We do power analysis, the average power consumption during the test single core and the total power consumed. And we've got numbers for the M1, for the 5950X, for the 1200K.
Yeah.
And we're going to do some more in the future. The benefit and the downside that Apple has is, well, the benefit is they own the ecosystem.
Yeah.
The downside is
vertical integration, if you're talking markets or marketing spec.
The downside is it's a different ecosystem, right?
Right. No one else programs that natively unless you also live in that ecosystem.
Yeah. If they were both running the same operating system and they both had native apps, then it'd be a more direct comparison. Yeah. It's, for example, Qualcomm purchased the company Nuvia, which is basically formed out of the engineers who created the M1, to specifically build a M1-like, or next generation-like laptop chip for Qualcomm to compete in that space. That's an ARM-based processor running Windows.
Yes.
When I was with Qualcomm in Hawaii, I asked, is this a chip competing against Apple because you're both running ARM, you both have ARM designs, or is this chip competing against Intel and AMD because you're running Windows?
Yeah.
There's not an easy answer to that question.
There's not. Yeah.
Though, to be honest, if you ask the CEO, it's very much a shot towards Intel.
Okay.
he wants to beat Intel at his own game, at their own market. So that's why they bought the company.
Now, is this similar to the M1 in that they're building essentially native instruction translation for x86?
Qualcomm has already native x86 64-bit translation. It was, I think it was technically announced last month. It was a bit hush-hush. They had a Windows 10 development build that had it, but it's actually fully enabled on Windows 11.
Okay.
Now, for anything Snapdragon, Hcx Gen 1 and above, or 7C, 7C, 8C, all those.
Okay.
I spoke to the Qualcomm guys there, and I've got an interview that I need to publish. I need to transcribe and I need to edit. And I asked, well, what was the delay? You've been promising 64-bit translation for a couple of years now, and I kind of need it if I'm going to use your hardware, because I have some obscure software in my workflow. And they said, the instruction translation was the easy bit.
Yeah.
That was easy to cover all edge cases. What was the problem was the software. So software written for Windows, I've written a lot of bad software, let's put it that way. But not just me, things like relying on the CPU ID for installation directions, using wrong DLLs, program files versus program files x86.
Oh.
You remember how much that was an issue between 32 and 64-bit back in...
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
when you were making the transition from Windows XP to like Vista 64, and instead of just having a unified program files directory for your default programs, 32-bit programs would be installed into program files x86, and it's still that way.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's just a directory difference. There's no compilation difference. There's no execution difference. It's just, we just want the 32-bit stuff over here, even though half the 32-bit stuff you install right now is running native 64 now, but they still install to x86. It still throws older programs for a loop that are hard-coded to use program files to search for their root directory in.
Yeah. So, I mean, Qualcomm has 64-bit translation of x86 instructions already.
Yeah.
That was a difficult bit. I haven't tested the latest version. Qualcomm just announced the Hcx Gen 3, which is 4 X1 cores and 4 A78 cores. And if you follow the ARM space, that's, pretty high up. They actually gave me a CPU inside a Perspex thing.
Nice.
Did you bring my bag in from the car?
I did. It's actually right here.
I will show it on camera if I can find
Absolutely.
it. So,
I already took a crypto wallet out of it.
Yeah, no. Or you mean my automated benchmark script?
Yes, yeah. Oh, that too. Because, God, I'm tired of running benchmarks.
Script it up, dude. Okay. So there's my 8 Gen 1. That's the smartphone one. And so
that's pretty cool.
So this, I'm not sure if you can see on the stream. So this is a little like promotional tool. And on the back you see the bottom part of the package.
Yeah.
Right? There's no silicon in this one. This is the smartphone one, because if there was silicon in this one and the competitor got hold of it, they would carve it up and find all the special sauce, right?
Yeah, they would.
So this is just a plastic CPU package, and I wonder if we can put it there and it will stay there. No, it won't, because we're on an angle.
Yep.
So this is the Hcx Gen 3. This is the laptop chip that's just been announced this year. So this is the final one before the Nuvia.
Yep.
And you can see that.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
And let's see if we can show it to the camera. I'm not sure how well it will focus or zoom.
Yeah. So I can't zoom it. But
no, it's fine. Okay. It's are you on autofocus or not?
No.
No. Okay. Yeah. But yeah,
it's a Cinecam, of course not.
Okay. But yeah, it's it's kind of cool, and that's going to be in the current or 2022 Windows on Snapdragon laptops. I'm waiting to get my hands on one of these in a device.
Yeah.
Because I mean, my main pain points with the previous generations were Dropbox. It was only giving me the Windows S version of Dropbox for whatever reason, which means you can't store files locally properly.
Right.
OneDrive worked, but
no one cares about that.
Yeah. But the professional version of Google Drive, which at the time was called like Drive File and Store, it's now just all Google Drive. But Drive File and Store just didn't work at all.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure whether that was a translation issue, whether just because it was non-native. I mean, Qualcomm's goal throughout the Windows on Snapdragon. I mean, they call it Windows on Snapdragon because they're the ones that work with Microsoft,
Right.
rather than Windows on ARM, which is what everybody else calls it.
Right.
Their goal has been get the top 1,000 apps converted to native ARM instructions for Windows, which is whenever you've got something new, top 1,000 apps is how you go forward.
Right.
Unfortunately, some of the other software I use is definitely not in the top 1,000. Things like Auto Hotkey, things like Farstone Image Viewer. Imagine if Ninite didn't work.
Yeah, Ninite.
or Chocolatey or whatever you want to use.
Joy2Key is one that I actually use for like DIY Stream Deck kind of things. So I actually have an old Cytec game commander. That's 28 keys with 3 modes. So depending on the mode you're in, the keys do something different. They're all different button presses. So it's a 90 button press device with an analog stick on the thumb. I love using that thing, and I use it for different macros in editing and whatnot. And I use Joy2Key to program those.
Yeah. I mean, this was before. I mean, I still have the device at home. I just haven't opened it in a while.
Yeah.
But I never tried OBS with it because I wasn't using OBS at the time.
Yeah.
All those little things that I guess are new to my workflow, I will need to try and see if all the stuff that I've grandfathered in works. But Qualcomm promises it will. I will just have to deal with Windows 11.
Okay then.
Sorry, that was a very long-winded answer.
That's all right. I think I'll give my 2 cents on this one, and that is that if you want to say we'll compete with x86 CPUs, Apple's M1 already kind of proved it can compete in performance in certain instruction sets and certain aspects of x86.
Especially if it's accelerated on the M1.
Correct.
Then it's way ahead.
Yeah, then it's way ahead. Like certain rendering tasks are light years ahead on the M1 as far as efficiency and power per clock than they are on even the 5950X and 12900K and similar.
Anything
SKUs.
ProRes.
Right. My entire workflow here is ProRes, and my Apple M1 renders my videos faster than my 5950X 16-core inside Premiere.
So the funny thing is, my rendering software is called Wondershare Filmora. That's just because that's the NLE that I found the easiest to get to grips with.
Yeah,
I've been using
absolutely.
it ever since.
Yeah, no, Filmora is pretty good.
It's made by a Chinese company, so support is terrible. It's missing a good number of features I'd like the bit where I could right-click on a cut clip and just export that as a separate file. It doesn't have.
Yeah.
I, for the life of me, can't tell where the sodding bottleneck of that software is. I have thrown CPU at it, I've thrown memory at it, I've thrown GPU at it because it does do GPU acceleration.
Yeah.
I've had stuff stored in RAM disk. I've used proxy files to help scrubbing.
There's kids watching this stream.
I don't know where the bottleneck of that software is. It's, I mean, to the point
it's
where
the same place it is in Premiere, and that's just sometimes it just doesn't work.
No, I mean, I think I've had it crash on me once or twice a year.
Yeah.
Right. And I know Premiere sometimes is a bit beyond that. It
depends on the week.
No, but so for example, with me on this trip, I've bought the MSI GE76 Raider, which they're 11980 HK.
And isn't that the 3070?
3080.
3080, okay.
So it's the 3080L.
Yeah.
But it is literally the high-end premium gaming laptop that's under £4, £4.5. And I brought it with me to the US. That was a bad idea because it's most of the weight of my suitcase. But I tested rendering on that, and you think that should be amazing, right? I get testing a 25-minute video, cuts, some things flying in, took the same time to render as my 3950X with a 1080.
Yeah.
And so I don't know where the bottleneck is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Sorry, I'm going in your questions again.
That's all right. That's why you're here.
So sorry, can I bring this one up? Because Dave Weldon says, what do you guys think of chips like the AMD 3015E with a TDP of 6 watts? So I have a fun video that I want to do because that chip is the worst Ryzen chip ever. Or it's like the 3020E or something.
The 3000G?
No. Or... This is the 6 watt Zen.
Oh, right.
Dali.
That's right.
It's Dali.
I forgot they even made that thing.
Right. That's the thing. So you know how you get stuff in your email from random Chinese companies that you don't want to deal with. Please review our stuff. Please review our stuff. And it's one of those companies that will be here today, gone tomorrow.
I see very professional. You really speak to me in your video.
Yeah, so
we would like you to review a product that we think would be a perfect fit for your audience.
And it's like a
automatic toilet plunger.
Rake.
Or something.
Yeah. So one of the companies...
You guys have no idea.
So a company reached out to me. I think they're called MaxTang, and they say, we have a 3500U mini PC. Yeah, it's like a NUC sort of thing. And I thought, okay, that looks interesting. But I also noticed that they have a 3020E version. Or a 3015E, whichever one is the low. It's funny because there's like a dual core with slightly higher clock speed or a quad core with slightly lower clock speed. And I turned around and said, can I get that one instead? And like, they're really? Do you want that one?
Yeah.
What
are you sure?
Are you sure? We have the 3500U. And it's like,
God.
No, I'm sure.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
AMD 3020E, 2 cores, 2 threads, base clock of 1.2 with a max turbo of 2.6.
Yeah.
1 megabyte of L2 cache and 4 megs of L3.
Is it Zen or Zen Plus?
It's...
Or is it Zen 2?
I think it's Zen 2.
Okay, I think I even have the older one of...
No, this is Zen because it's 14 nanometer.
Yeah, so...
It's not even Zen Plus.
I've done the testing. I just need to get around to recording the video, which is always the bottleneck I have.
Yeah.
It's...
You and me both.
The worst Ryzen CPU ever made. That's just a great title for a video.
Yeah, and what's funny is I've done a couple of videos on Ryzen embedded chips. I have a system running a 1605
B.
Yeah,
B.
Yeah.
I've got the 1607B. It's
pretty decent chip for 30 watts. When you consider the...
What's it in, sorry?
It's in a box about this big.
Okay.
Has 2 M.2 slots in it. It's meant to be like a quasi set-top media center kind of thing.
So I was sent the Udo Bolt.
Okay.
And sorry to the Udo guys, I did test it. I never reviewed it just because
you wouldn't want to see it.
No, it's I kind of wanted to do a video, and I was really early in my channel, so it just didn't get to a point.
Yeah.
I did send it to a friend who was going to do the video on it. And I don't think he got it. And he uses it as like a little media mini PC, which is fine if you just want to hide it and put it under the way and whatever. Or I noticed you've got a few games machines sort of things, and they'll be perfect for that.
It was really funny him showing off his machine today.
But yeah, it's I wasn't impressed with that chip. I mean, don't get me wrong, the 3020E, the dual core Zen at 6 watts is painful, but just having the worst Ryzen CPU ever just warms my heart.
Right.
It's like I have Cannon Lake that warms my heart. And today, because...
Cannon Lake, I thought that was Katie Lake that warmed your heart.
No, Cannon Lake.
Cannon Lake, okay. Yeah, okay.
It's... because I'm based in the UK, my editor-in-chief at Anantech is based in the US. He actually lives only a mile away from Jeff.
Right.
Which is funny.
The editor-in-chief lives 1 mile from me.
So, I sometimes get stuff. I purchase stuff in the US and get sent to him because we meet up roughly once a year pre-pandemic to hand it over. So he handed it over to me today, including a Xeon Phi 7250. Which you guessed $10,000.
Well,
did you think it was something else?
I didn't remember this. I didn't recognize the socket right off.
Okay,
and so I was guessing it was a 4189. Like you had gotten like an 8380 or something. Like that.
Right, yeah.
And I'm going, what in the world? And you
no, $50.
Yeah, and you said, and then you said 7250, and for some reason Phi was not clicking in my head when you said that, and I'm like, what? How? What? But no, Xeon Phi, of course it was only $50.
Well, no, that is the cheapest Xeon Phi I've ever seen.
Right.
I mean, just the CPU, not the add-in card.
Right.
If anybody has Xeon Phi Knight's Landing in an actively cooled card that was never released to the public, please let me know, because I would like one, because I have a video idea, and I may pay for that. Actually, if you're willing to sell it to me, I will probably pay for it. Please don't send it to Jeff. I will pay for it.
Send it to me first, and I'll send it along when I'm done with it. Remember, this is my channel.
Nice beer.
Yeah.
Sorry, let's keep going on super chats because I keep derailing.
Alice sends over $5. Thank you so much. There's nothing quite equivalent to camera. There's the American Homebrew Association. By the way, this is like from 40 minutes ago.
Yeah. Is that how long we've been going?
It's been a while. Yeah. But it really isn't the same thing, being mostly about homebrewing. Yeah. I do know about the American Homebrewing Association, and they're kind of in that same ilk, but they're not aimed at like companies and breweries that are doing that. It's more like, how do you make beer at home traditionally kind of thing.
How do you moonshine?
Right. Yeah. No. That's illegal here. Like, can't do that. ATF's got to get their cut, man.
Oh, right. Okay. What if you use it for fuel?
You can brew whatever you want. You can make whatever you want for your own wine. But the second you heat something up to boiling and take a little snifter off it, boy, they come after you.
What if you do it for fuel purposes?
For fuel, it's totally fine.
Okay.
Yeah. You can buy oil distillers online. So if you're making like essential oils, that just happens to be like malt, barley, rye, and some other byproducts. Totally legal. Totally legal.
Essential oil brewing company.
I totally did not stick some in a barrel for 3 years. And Jeremy sends over $2. What do you think about the Discord premium subs? I think it's a great option. I think I'm really excited to see what Discord does with it, and if this is just like another fleeting project of theirs, because they've had a number of those with Xbox Live integration Xbox Game Pass, plus their own games library that you got access to for having Nitro, which all got canceled at some point for some reason or another. I hope it sticks around. I like the idea as a content creator or as a community organizer of having a way to monetize that is just another way to do it. You know, more eggs in more baskets.
I don't like necessarily talking about money. So talking about monetization and super chats, sometimes unnerves me because it's our connection with our communities is special. Yeah. And part of me is like, thank you for sending me money. I don't really want to take money from you. Thank you for feeding my family. Especially in your case.
I don't mind taking money from people because you're literally feeding my family.
Yeah.
And that being said, it's $1. So that's my minimum. You can give more if you want, and I sincerely appreciate each and every one of you.
And if you want to feed Jeff's liver, there's a PO box in the description.
There's a PO box below. And if you want to drink like a pro, you can get yourself a pint glass at craftcomputing.store.
Plug the merch.
That's right. Got to plug the merch. It's slowly starting to pay for itself, so there you go. Big Spoon just sends over 99 cents. Thank you, Spoon.
Do you know who I am yet?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's in reference to an after party.
I was going to say, Ian remembers you. Do you remember Ian? Jeff Gearling. Talk about the cat sanctuary.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Sorry,
before you get to this,
go on.
Do you want a cider or do you want me to open the Canard?
What is in this Canard?
It's a red wine.
Aside from Cardassian hatred and bile.
Yeah.
Actually,
you racist bastard.
Cardassian. Actually, what would Cardassians really want to drink?
There's a description of Canard, and I don't remember what it is.
I think it was to me, Canard and Quarks always looked like some sort of yellowy, slimy.
It was a thick syrup, and I think it was like tasted of like rotten fruit, is what they said.
It's a lot of alcoholic beverages are rotted fruit, fermented.
Right.
I guess rotten and fermented.
Right.
There's a difference.
It's the same thing. It's just how much sugar did you add afterwards,
and how much mold stayed in the middle.
Right. Yeah. Right. But this is just truly a red wine.
Okay.
It was picked because it's a little bit more viscous. It's got legs for days, as they say.
You mean they added some aged balsamic or something?
That could essentially be what they did as well. But I've not seen or heard any reviews about what's in this bottle. I bought it specifically for the bottle, and I bought 2 of them. So
it's almost as if you need a video of the opening. I'll save that for you. Let's have the cider.
Let's have the cider? Okay. I'm going to go grab you a cider.
If you open this on, as a video, you do a lot of the computing on craft computing. I think you need a video on the craft with like the 30-second, 60-second computing at the end.
I think that's a great point.
It means that the end of your video, it's like, and today I'm benchmarking Chip A. Chip A has notes of Zen 2 cores and 4 gigahertz and 16 megabytes of L3 cache. It has notes of integrated graphics and PCIe Gen 4. And you can buy it in single socket or dual socket. I am filling time. I think I'll award Jeff's question with an answer. So Jeff asked, talk about the Cat Sanctuary. If I've been to Qualcomm's Tech Summit, which is held in Hawaii for 3 years, missed a year due to pandemic. But the first year I went, I found that there's an island just nearby where we are, called Lanai Island, where there is a cat sanctuary. And you're thinking, okay, wow, what's so important about a cat sanctuary? So Lanai is Hawaii's 6th biggest island. It's like America's 43rd. There's less than 2,000 people living on it. It's owned 98% by Larry Ellison. There is a Four Seasons there, a small airport, and a cat sanctuary. It used to be all owned by the Dole Pineapple Company. Lanai is literally the pineapple isle. And as part, in a way to keep the pests away from the pineapples, they brought in a series of cats. And cats roam the island, eat the pests, whatever. Then Dole left. Larry Ellison, with his bucket o' Oracle money, came in, purchased 98% of the island. The other 2% is owned by locals and Hawaii State. Mm-hmm. But the cats were just left there, and they started attacking the more protected wildlife elements of Lanai. Mm-hmm. So a local decided to start up a cat sanctuary, thinking, they caught 25 cats, spayed and neutered them, thought that was it. Turns out there are a lot more cats on the island, especially because they're bred over 20, 30, 40 years. Yep. And eventually we're now about 8, 9, 10 years into the cat sanctuary existing. Actually, maybe even more, maybe even be 13. And the cat sanctuary, which is about a mile away from the airport, if you're flying, it's about a 25-minute walk. They have 653 cats in the sanctuary. They gain about 150 a year. They lose about 150, but that's like 50 due to adoption, about 100 due to age and illness. Yeah. But they do have systems that if anyone in mainland US wants to adopt, mm-hmm. they know the carriers, they know how much it costs, they can help you do that. And like I say, about 50 cats a year get adopted. I go there because I'm a big cat person, mm-hmm. and there's a thing where all cat people are also dog people, yeah. but dog people are not cat people, right? So cats, dogs, and the fact that you have Ruby, and I did see the
Rambo skirts by every once in a while.
Yeah. So I went there the first time I went to Hawaii because I thought this was amazing. I went from Maui. I got a $60 Uber to Lahaina. I got the ferry over, and that's like an hour ferry, and that was long. I got to the cat sanctuary, but then I had to get an earlier ferry than planned home because it was getting windy. And when it's windy, the boat doesn't run, and you end up on the island for the night.
Now you're stuck with 653 cats.
Well, no, you have to find your way to the Four Seasons, which is like a 20-mile walk, and say, do you have a room available? And if not, you're sleeping on the grass outside the hotel. So I decided to go back early, and it's $30 ferry ride, and then $60 back to where I was staying. Yeah. Second time I went to Hawaii. So while I was there, I wanted to do an article about how I was here in a cat sanctuary where the only internet they had was when you held up your smartphone in one corner of the 3.5 acre site. And you get 1, maybe 2 bars because the airport's over there. Right. And I was in Hawaii for a conference about the next generation of 5G, internet connectivity. And here I am 70 miles away where there's nothing. Right. So the second year I wanted to go... so that article that I wanted to write, that was struck down as potentially being too political. Right. I'm not the editor-in-chief, therefore I do not have final say in my articles. Yeah. Now I have a YouTube channel. That's a bit different. I can actually publish what I want.
Yeah, your opinions are your own.
So second time I was in Hawaii, I also wanted to go, but staying in the same hotel in Maui, but it rained the whole day. Full week of sun.
Yeah.
That day it rains, couldn't go. I ended up actually spending most of the day in the hotel room, so it wasn't really that good. So this year, third year, I was on Big Island this time. I got to the conference a day early. I was planning to leave a day later. I was like, okay, which is the best day, either before or after to go? Before I'm going to be jet lagged, but actually the late day it was actually going to be wet again. And so I thought, right, okay, I need to fly there. And from Big Island, you fly to Maui, and then you fly to Lanai, and then, like I say, it's a 25-minute walk from the airport. Yeah. I got there an hour before it opened, which is great. They're only open like 10 to 3, but they're open 365 days a year. And I was talking to one of the volunteers. They'd now got internet. They now got electricity. And I got talking. Turns out the CEO was there, and he's there like one day a month because he actually lives on a different island. There is no vet on the island as well, so the vet comes in one day a month. They got like a mobile sort of like veterinary shelter. But they've expanded. They had a lot more open spaces. The kittens are in a separate area. The cats that need more sort of long-term care or docile, they have their own area. But people can go in, essentially go in almost any of the areas, and there's plenty of areas. There's plenty of space for the cats. 95% of the cats come in feral. But half of them end up being lovely. I mean, you literally sit down and you have 3 cats on top of you within 3 seconds. And they will fight over the ability to sit on you. It's amazing. It was described to me as this is heaven for cats. I say it's heaven for cat people.
Oh, totally.
And
like I'm on board.
So I went there. I spent time actually interviewing the CEO on the same topics that I wanted to talk about several years prior. So I'm going to have a video about that. I'm deciding exactly what way to do that. I also have a couple of videos. I've actually got a video, say, on Zen 4 and Zen 4C, Genoa and Bergamo, which I guess is probably like 3 weeks out of date by now, but I still want to publish it. And it's me, and there's like cats on me when I'm doing it. So
that's awesome.
And I also did a 1-hour stream. It's called How to Pet 600 Cats in an I actually have a better thumbnail picture for it that I didn't ever upload, but it's funny because the same cat that joined me right at the start of the stream also joined me at the end as I moved around out of all those cats. I went, even though I'd spent probably the best part of $400 from the hotel to be there because of taxis and whatnot. I bought a couple new t-shirts because my 3-year-old one was getting, as they all do, around the collar. Sizable donation as well. That there are people who donate who have never been there, right? They have. It costs $900,000 a year to run. The CEO was telling me, which you might think for 600 cats is a lot of money. Well, some of them need care. They need to fly in the vet. Food is actually only 5% of that cost. It's just the rest in terms of how they're expanding. Getting internet and electricity apparently costs them the best part of $100,000 because of where they are. It's amazing. It's a place I would love to retire to. They have 12 full-time staff. My flight was at 5:30. They closed the sanctuary at 3, so I just had to walk to the airport back. It was. It's a shame it's in the middle of nowhere, but that's kind of what makes it a little bit special. I just spoke to the CEO and he said we were thinking, because I asked him about his tech strategy, right? I'm a tech person, so let's talk about tech strategy. And they're talking about, we're only just getting electricity, and it was fine for streaming. The Wi-Fi is great. I had a whole stream for an hour and no dropped frames.
Nice.
The start was like about 480p, but eventually went up to at least 720, if not 1080.
Right? Yeah.
And he said he was thinking about. They weren't very tech savvy. That much was obvious. And it's like we were thinking of doing like a walkthrough, like a 3D camera, like a Google Maps, basically going around. But they were worried that if they did that, people would see that and not come. And there's more value for them in people coming and buying merch live than because you feel that.
I think what they could probably do.
No, I told them to do it. Because if anything, that'll encourage more people to come because they will want to see it and they'll want to see it live.
And
I'm hoping through something like my video. Now, just to be clear, I'm not affiliated with them. I just like cats.
Right.
And this was just amazing just because so many of them are so friendly and are immediately friendly. I mean, how when you meet a really friendly dog, all they want to do is be on you. They want to be petted. you know, the first thing I came in is I have a Rudy on me.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ruby.
Yeah.
The cats are like that. So
Ruby is our resident greeter.
Why don't you get a doggy in? Because I like cats. Because I am lazy. Cats are lazy. Cats look after themselves.
Yeah.
I could look after the cats, and yeah.
Yep.
So that is like a 10-minute explanation of the cat sanctuary. Watch the video when it comes live.
Right.
And Jeff, if you ever go, seriously, take as many photos, as many videos as you can. I told them what they need to do is they need to pick a few cats out, the ones with character, and just make celebrities out of them, make merch around them.
Totally.
I mean, they had one cat that was called like Old Guy. Came to them, with face cancer and things, and was in a pain, but he had a number of operations, and when the pain went, he was the most loving. He wanted strokes, he wanted pets. Now obviously, he had half ears and some of the skin missing, so he didn't look great, but he was there the first time I went. And it was a shame that I saw a couple of years later we got a note saying he'd passed away. But they've actually got a monument to him on the grave on a hill just outside the sanctuary. I think they could do so much there. If I told them you need to hire the right social media person,
yes,
they said they did for Christmas. They wanted Google ads, they wanted social media, but they didn't get the hit rate they did because they don't think the social media person that they hired got it
right.
And it's like there is so much you could do here for people who love. I mean, maybe I'm biased because that's how much I like cats.
I feel there is so much potential that you could do with cats and the internet. I mean, the internet exists for like three things, and that's people yelling at each other, porn, and cats. Like,
just don't mix any of those together.
Don't mix any of those together, unless that's your fetish. I don't kink shame.
Well, people shouting at each other and porn. Okay,
I get it.
I'm
not a fan, but I get it. But there is so much you could do on the internet with cats.
Yeah.
Especially like you said, making a couple of them celebrities. Take a couple of the ones that have, just weird personalities or quirks or whatever else.
There was one following me around
and make them famous.
One following me around called Shadow. Jet black cat.
Yeah.
Has a little bit of a breathing problem, so you can hear him wheezing from 15, 20 yards. But it was great because I'd be walking around and I could just definitely hear that Shadow. He's No, but he was really lovely and friendly, and he just wanted to be held. So it's
that's awesome.
Amazing. If you're ever in Hawaii, if you're on any of the islands, you can get flights to Lanai. Do plan a day around it, and do plan, I guess, best part of $300 if you're buying last minute tickets to get there.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, we may be going to Hawaii sometime next year. We're working on that,
and the three little ones.
I
do not suggest going to the cat sanctuary with three little ones. Right. It is very much a more adult focused.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's because I know how children are.
Yeah, my kids are actually both fantastic with cats. At least the two littles, or the two bigs. I don't know about the little because he'll be one.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Van Rit says DeBauer's cat is a great example. Shake is always there, and when he got hurt, the community went crazy. So I have two cats at home. Every video I do a cat tax, just like you do a beer tax.
Right.
I do a cat tax. Usually it's my cat or related to whoever I'm talking about, their cat.
Yeah.
They don't ever get on video because I have my desk here and my background is just here.
Right.
And I tend to keep them out of the room for audio. I mean, just so the door's shut for audio.
Yeah.
But also when they start meowing, just because one of them is a bit of a diva, and if she's not having enough attention that week, there'll be one day a week where it's I mean,
Rambo, for as much as you guys all like Rambo, he is very much a diva and very much attention seeking, and
he looks so cute in the hallway.
Oh, he's adorable. He's just this adorable fuzzball. But he'll get this thing like most cats do, like, hey, I can see the bottom of my bowl. That's a problem.
Yep.
Like all he's done is push his nose all the way down, and there's a little speck of silver at the bottom. But I can see the bottom of the bowl. You're not taking proper care of me.
It's my black Torty Cross does that, and she's called Cat, by the way. But Katamari
Okay.
Cat for short, just because I'm lazy.
What he will do is he will put his front paws up on my chair and up onto my side, and if I don't pay attention to me, he'll dig a claw right there and just hook me.
Oh.
And so while I'm sitting there, like trying to write up a new video or something like that.
At least you're not recording and suddenly go. Eh.
Oh, it's done that a couple times too. But he'll just hook right in the soft spot in my side. It's like, dude.
My little one will put both of her. So she's a Burman cat, long-haired Burman. Looks kind of like a rag doll, but is very slightly different. A lot of people get them mixed up. She'll put her two paws up between my legs, look up at me, and meow. The cute. You want to hold her, but you've got shit to do.
All right, we do have a couple more questions to get to. American Cosworth, $10. Thank you very much again. Do you realistically envision there being a greener future for chip production, specifically in regards to manufacturing process, or will it be inherently an environmentally harmful industry?
The drive is to go green. You could argue that there's more drive simply for production. I mean, a lot of people complain that fabs use a lot of water, right? For example, however, most fabs these days are designed to recycle as much of that as possible.
Yeah,
I mean,
some of them are up to like 85% or something like that. Yeah.
So there are other industries like almond production, way worse.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're on the trend of nut-based milk, and we have it at home. You know, it's I was big on the dairy. I'm a tea drinker, but the minute I moved to coffee, after a couple of years, I couldn't really go back to the dairy. So we went to the nut milks.
Yeah, I do almond milk. Yeah,
almond is the worst milk for production. Oat milk. Yeah, I cannot stress this enough. Stop buying almond milk. Buy oat milk.
I will do that.
And
What about cashew? Cashew's another good one.
Cashew's like in the middle.
Okay.
Right. It's almonds are.
So I can feel better and yet smug.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect.
But oat milk's great because
I'll give oat milk a try.
The thing is, almonds are usually produced in very dry regions. Yeah. And take like 1,000 gallons per kilo or something.
Yeah, that's right.
It's crazy bad. So I mean, in terms of, you know, there are a lot of other things worse for the environment than chip manufacturing, and lots of chips go into things that do help improve other aspects of the ecosystem in that regard. Yeah, that's not to say we shouldn't focus on it. It's still important to focus on it. I just think from a wider perspective, it is a minor part of that industry.
I would partially agree with that. There's also got to be some other breakthrough in materials, because right now part of the issue is getting the silicon and the rare metals to actually produce these things. Unless there's some material breakthrough in something else that is a greener way to acquire. I mean,
in terms of the semiconductor shortage, that's like a more of a packaging problem than arguably a silicon problem. Right. There is the rare metal earth thing. Yeah. I've spoken to companies, for example, that had developed ways to essentially provide a process node improvement without actually decreasing the process node. That's an article I'd love to find time to write, record. A company called Atomera, that's ATOMERA. They've got something like called the Mears derived process or something. It's all about providing an oxygen depletion layer, so when you do additional doping into the silicon, you have a less diffusive reaction, so you're able to control the diffusion more, which means that you're able to optimize your silicon exactly for what you need.
Argon or something like that.
Oh no, it's an oxygen depletion layer, and the IP is in how that's formed.
Okay, gotcha.
How that sinks in and how that acts as a barrier.
Material scientist.
Yeah,
not.
Well, so standard transistor is an N and P gate, and you do that by depleting and doping specific regions of silicon. The key thing that depends there is the separation between doped and undoped regions, right? That's a very big determinant in the performance of your transistor. And what this helps with is making that delineation a lot smoother, as in a lot more binary from one to the other, and that improves your transistor performance. So it's a special IP. I've been briefed. The guys behind it seem knowledgeable and nice. For as much as I am a material scientist, it's understandable. There is a piece of the puzzle that I'm not exactly quite getting because it's just a bit beyond my understanding of reach exactly.
Yeah.
And it's the sort of thing that if I spend an hour reading, I could explain it better to you.
Okay.
Right?
Gotcha.
What I've given you now is what I remember from reading it 2 months ago.
Right.
So.
All right. Let's see. Andrew sends over $10. Good old green protagonist over on the Discord. Good to see you, Tech Potato, Dr. Cuttress. It was nice to see you roast tech deals. Have a cider on me. I
like tech deals. On the stream. I said I've been watching him for I think a couple of years now.
Yeah.
And he does go a lot of the same things repeatedly, but sometimes some of the stuff he talks about you need to listen to several times before it clicks. He focuses. I'm not there so much for the deals talk,
right.
Things like the financial talk, things like comparative analysis talk. He does that really well.
Yes,
but that's also because he has a lot more experience than most people. Sorry, Tech.
Yeah.
And Rogue is just a blast. She's Aussie. I'm British. There are.
Big Spoon, $4.99. 99% sure that bottle is actually a bomb. I don't think you're wrong.
I think I was going to say I think it's the nipple here.
Yeah.
It could easily be modified.
There's half hour with a determined enough
with a file. I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
We are in Oregon.
Yep, that's very true.
Not really my thing though.
Yep. Spoon sends another $4.99. I still have no clue who Tech Potato Ian is, but seems like a great guy. Does he have a TikTok?
Yes, 22 nanometer, 14 nanometer.
The Net Guy sends over $20. Thank you very much. Ian, computational chemistry. Does that mean you can make meth with a computer? Is the silicon shortage real, or are we being duped? I think that's the real question. So first one, then the other. Can you make meth with a computer?
No.
Okay.
No. It's my thing was making imaginary particles that never bump into each other move, which sounds really basic, but no, that is it on a level that's not too far off the real thing. That's essentially what it is. Is a silicon shortage real? Yes. So one of the big proponents in the early days of this.
There he is.
Hey, Fluffy. One of the big components of the early silicon shortage, for example, was that one component of high performance processors is a film called ABF film. I forget what the acronym is. Yeah. But essentially there was only one factory producing this film in the world, in Japan, and it burnt down. Right? So everybody was relying on the supplies they had until the factory got back up. But also, we heard companies like AMD and Intel saying we're investing in our supply chain because some of these shortages, we need to essentially overload them in production.
Right.
So
Which essentially means we found a single point of failure and we're going to invest like $20 million each and just like, here, have this so we can get back into production.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a minor part that you don't stop $1 million worth of chips from being sold for the sake of 20 grand.
Right.
You pay 500x what you need just to get the stuff out the door.
Exactly.
The way I've kind of been monitoring this, one of the ways I've been monitoring this is look at AMD's financials quarter to quarter, and they've got a line item there called inventories.
Yeah.
Right. And on the face of it, if you don't know what it is, it sounds like GPUs they got in a warehouse somewhere. That's our inventory, right?
Yeah, a truck full that wasn't delivered, right?
It's because it was nicked.
Well, that was EVGA.
Yeah. So
Jacob's forum post about that was just the tone was just so dejected.
But inventory.
We finally got some, and some bastard.
Yeah. But inventory that isn't stuff they have in a warehouse ready to sell.
Right.
It's stuff in production.
Yeah.
Right? So
it's production materials.
Yeah, so if you've got 25 wafers at TSMC in what they call a FOUP, that's 25 times whatever they're charging per wafer.
Yeah.
Or if you count the end price of those chips, right, maybe that's another factor 20 or more beyond that. And then, having those produced in the fab, all the way up to packaging, and then getting to the vendors, that's what they call inventory. AMD's inventory has doubled in the past year from 1 billion worth of stuff to 2 billion. I think the last number was actually 1.8 billion.
Yeah.
That may be
on-hand inventory.
That may be the quarter before number. Okay. But it's a case of they're going up about 400 million a quarter.
Yeah.
You don't increase inventory 40%. Yeah. That easily. You need a high demand market and a shortage and capacity.
Yes.
And that just indicates just how much more capacity AMD is buying. So despite the fact that nobody can get a GPU,
right,
or you can if you have enough and eBay, silicon shortage is.
Ask me how much I bought my 3090 for. Don't.
Silicon shortage is arguably a simplification of supply chain shortage. It is a supply chain shortage.
There's a Hawaiian restaurant local to me that my wife and I love that 3 months ago had to take all of their beef items off the menu because there's no supply chain to get those products in. Whatever they were using whether it's the beef itself or whether it was... So you're about to crack into a Cosmic Crisp cider. It's an Imperial cider, 8%. I know, a bit bolder than...
It's an apple cider.
It is apple cider.
Do you have a pear cider?
I do.
Can I be annoying and ask for a pear cider?
Absolutely, you can.
I've drunk a lot of apple cider, and I'm very particular.
See, cider here means apple.
It does everywhere.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah, let's put that on the front. I still have my Snapdragon chips here. Oh, let's put those away before Jeff nicks them. Oh, excuse me. And I can see all the chats here. Zach with the $500. We'll get to you because I'm pretty sure Jeff wants to give you a special shout out. But big thanks to Jeff. And if you're doing that and you don't have YouTube Premium, get YouTube Premium. It's we have a fluff and a cider, and she definitely does not want to be near me.
That's okay.
I think it's a standard cat thing. You need a lot of sniffs.
Yes.
Before you're comfortable.
Yes. It's okay.
Do I get a...
He's good. He's good.
Hey.
He's a friend of mine. There you go.
Do you think I can take?
He's wanting to get away a little bit.
I have a way of holding cats that makes them a bit...
Yep.
Hey, no, I'm getting claws.
Yep, there it is.
Oof.
Ruby.
I have vampire teeth in my...
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So it turns out I don't have pear. I do have a peach saison and I have a blueberry daze. Those are the other two options.
I believe I will have the blueberry.
You got it.
It's a bit 50-50 there, I think.
Yeah.
It's given that...
I think I also have a watermelon cider.
I think this one will be good.
Blueberry, okay.
We do have an early morning tomorrow.
Yes, we do. Yeah. I'm only drinking 2, and there's probably no after party in this one.
Not for us anyway.
Yeah.
It's
we have to leave here at 6.
Yeah,
I think.
Our first meeting tomorrow is breakfast at 7. An hour away.
Yeah.
For sure. You have a special super chat to get to.
I do. I saw that one. First off, Merton sends over $5. Eva and Luna the Bulldog says, hi. Does Jeff's house smell of burnt PCBs and hops, or is it more thermal compound and whiskey barrel?
You know, a lot of people have a distinctive house smell.
They do, right.
You do not.
Really?
It is either it's neutral or it's familiar. Part of me was expecting, as you have a newborn.
Right.
Newborns do have
a little formula, a little spit up,
Yeah,
Yep.
all the body fluids that I'm usually averse to, and most people are averse to. It's when you have a small child, you can't avoid them.
Again, we talked earlier. Humans are disgusting. I never ever again want to hear birth as a beautiful process. The end result is beautiful. There's no arguing that, but the process is freaking gross.
Snip, snip. But yeah, no, no, it's very neutral.
Very neutral.
Interesting. It's neutral or familiar.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. In my hotel room, it smells of sort of sweet gummy candy.
Yeah, which I got that too. Like almost a bubblegummy kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's trying to be some floral something, but it's just oversaturated to gummy.
Yes.
Yeah. Before we came here, we stopped at my place because I needed to grab some stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is very neutral. It's either. Yeah. No. That's a really weird but great question. I love it. I absolutely love it because.
Yeah.
I'm deciding whether it's neutral or familiar because I don't know if I understand the delineation between the two.
Right.
And if it's familiar, what's that say about me and you?
Right. When you get used to your own smell, you stop smelling it. But when you walk into someone else's house, there's a distinct smell of their house, whether it's whatever cleaning agent they use or whatever.
Yeah, lemon pledge or
whatever musk that they develop. There's always something. I'm always curious, what does my house smell like to other people? And to have someone ask that question is kind of interesting, to be honest.
I smell like Axe body spray.
Oof.
No, well,
I don't know what that says about me now.
No, in the UK we call it Lynx.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that I'm a bit of a pit sweater.
Yeah.
And the only thing I found effective is Lynx or Axe.
Yeah.
But the antiperspirant.
Yeah.
The 24-hour antiperspirant.
Yeah.
Now, I know there's a lot of connotations about, it's teenagers, spray, we're going to use it as a shower.
Yeah.
I shower every day.
Yeah.
Usually in the morning, if I can do it.
Yeah.
And, the only way I'm comfortable in my own sweaty pits is with Axe antiperspirant. So don't knock it, because I don't actually smell of it. But
you're getting the real answers here on Talking Heads. I will say, I've said this on the show before. I have what I like to call Kevin James disease. Kevin James, comedian. He's Paul Blart.
Him.
Yeah. When he did stand up,
is he the sweaty?
He is the. He would go. I sweat for no reason. Like, someone would go, "Hey, what were you jumping rope in the attic?" No, I peeled an orange about an hour ago. That was me. Before you got here, I spent 10 minutes just like bringing like laptop and cables and stuff like upstairs.
Started sweating around the neck.
I was just dripping, like wiping it off my forehead, dripping.
In the last 5 to 10 years, also perhaps because I've put on probably about 20 pounds. And that's not a pandemic reference. It's just
it's
age.
It's all muscle. You look good.
No, it's well, I mean, you're the dad, so you have the dad bod. I just have bod.
I got dad bod.
But yeah,
I got major dad bod.
It's surprisingly how easily I sweat these days,
yeah.
And I hate myself for it.
It gets worse every year. You're younger than me, I'm pretty sure.
85.
Ooh, maybe not. Ooh, we're close.
Okay.
I haven't officially revealed my age, so we'll further this off camera.
It's people work out from my PhD how old I am, so
yeah.
22. They usually say.
Yeah.
Baby face.
Yeah. Yeah. No, what was really funny is I got asked at one point because I knew you from Anantech as well.
Yeah.
As most people do, and someone goes, do you know how old he is? Like, he's freaking young. And then I met him, and it's like, yeah, he might be like a year or two younger than me, maybe.
Yeah.
Am I young, or am I just, I don't know.
I go to Asia, and people think I'm like 21, 22.
Right.
It's like I wish
Yeah.
I could do all-nighters back then.
It's because you can't grow a beard. Zachary
Zing.
sends over a $500 donation for the third time in a month.
Making it rain.
That's right. Oh no, that's fourth time. That's right. He did all of the craft computing hosts, and I actually challenged him, and I said, "Well, Ian's going to be on next week," and here he is. So.
Oh yes, it's 4 including you.
Yeah.
Well, 5 now.
5 now.
I mean, if I'm going to be in the standard rotation, though, I'll be honest. You usually stream about 4 a.m. UK.
Right. Starting time is 4 a.m.
So
right.
if you ever want to catch me, it's usually in the after party, and that's only if I've woken up early.
Right.
And only if I've had a coffee.
Yeah. Take Dr. Ian out for a nice meal. I think all of our meals tomorrow are probably comped, but and you got to get on a plane tomorrow.
No, I don't.
Oh no.
It's I'm making. I do have to get on a plane early the day after.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But I am one of these people who has to fly in the morning.
Okay.
I never want to fly at night. Yeah. It's just a bad experience if you can avoid it.
Because you can't sleep on planes, right?
Yeah. No.
Me, I sleep like a baby. I get onto a plane. Oh, he got you.
Yeah, he really did.
Blood. Look at that.
It's quite bad.
We'll
have to end the stream as I faint. No.
I sleep like a baby. What I do, number one, I hate flying. I absolutely abhor flying.
But that is because you are 6'5". 6'5".
Yeah.
I am 5'5", 5'6" on a good day.
Right.
So I fit in any seat, but I also have status, so I always get the bulkhead seat anyway.
Yeah. I don't fit in any seat on any plane unless I fly Alaskan. Alaskan is the only plane where I can sit and my knees aren't impacted by the seat in front of me.
I flew Alaskan from Austin to here.
It's wonderful.
I don't know. I was in a bulkhead seat.
Yeah. But
I mean, I'll be honest. It was 1D. I did get an upgrade, so I thought it was needed.
Yeah. No, Alaskan, they space their seats out just enough, and the seats are at such an angle that I can fit on an Alaskan plane. I've been American, I've been United, I've been Southwest, I've been
JetBlue.
I haven't done
Spirit?
JetBlue. I've done Spirit.
Oh god.
I've done Spirit.
I have heard bad things.
I will say American was the worst flight. American was just god awful.
Really?
Yeah.
So, because I'm part of the One World, so that's BA, American, Alaskan is now part of that. So,
yeah.
It's not United.
So they're going to squeeze one more row into an Alaskan flight is what you're going to tell me. At the expense of me. You know what's great is if you fly to Michigan, in the state of Michigan, height is a protected class. And so I can claim you cannot discriminate against me based on my height. You have to give me an upgrade because I'm 6'5".
That sucks because well, I guess if I'm 5'5", I'm more than one standard deviation below average male height.
Right.
So I could argue the same thing.
You could.
But they'd say, nah, get back in your seat, short boy.
Right, exactly. But me, it's like I literally don't fit in the space you're providing. You're discriminating against me. Yeah, in the state of Michigan, height, over height, is a protected class.
So if I can't reach something at the high shelf, does that also mean that I can...
You're the person who asks me at the grocery store to get the cereal down.
No, it's me who sues the store for having things on the high shelf. If it's a protected class, then I will... Then, it's... You need somebody on hand to do that for you.
Yeah. As
mandated by state law,
true.
I guess.
It's true.
So... Fair enough. I don't know how we deviated to flights. Oh no. So Neil, you've been driving me back and forth between your place and Portland, and that's not a short journey. So if anything, all the content that comes out of Jeff soon from this trip, I mean, don't get me wrong, you are the cameraman, but I am letting you get pictures and a few things. That's right. You're essentially paying for Jeff's ability to travel up to. Yeah. Good stuff.
Totally. Which...
Thank you, by the way.
Which I knew going into this. I wasn't sure what content I was going to get out of it. Like, I knew the itinerary, but I was going, what fits on my channel? What would people be interested in watching?
What will I let you record?
Well, yeah, what will they let me record? Because...
No, what will I let you record?
Yeah.
Because you're here because of me.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, it's more for the context, because you're meeting people at Intel that you wouldn't
Exactly. after 5 years.
I mean, my decade at Anantech, I'll be honest, I do understand that it is a privileged position.
Yeah.
And that has given me access to people that, guys who have bigger...
One of us has interviewed Roger Kaduri. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And Lisa Sue.
And Jim Keller.
And
Pat Gelsinger.
And yeah.
Actually, no.
That list goes on.
It's funny. I really love the interviews. I mean, today I interviewed Dan Ragland, who heads up Intel's overclocking lab.
That was fantastic to watch that.
And it's fun because that is, since I started my channel, all my interviews have been virtual. Yeah. So, and this was kind of like the second or third that I'd done in person. I've got a couple from the Qualcomm trip, which I had to set up manually. One of the reasons I bought Jeff on hand is because he could help manage. I had 2 cameras, one facing each of us, and then a wider shot, which my smartphone was out of power, so you got it with yours.
So he burned my battery.
That's fine.
That's fine.
You just have to make sure you put it on charge tonight, right?
Yes, it's on charge.
Yeah, so it's no.
Got him even speaking like you now.
I mean,
it's on charge.
As long as our wireless mics picked everything up, that should be I think it's a fun interview because people will say there's no headroom in overclocking, so why is Intel even dedicating resources? And we made a load of knob gags earlier about Intel having all the knobs, but the guys behind it are truly passionate about what they do. So even if we might think it's only a surface level improvement, there are people getting paid good 6-figure salaries to figure out what is the best way to go about doing this with the silicone, making sure they don't leave any stock performance on the table.
Correct. And that is one of the biggest points of the overclocking lab is and they have a foundational principle of we're not going to leave performance on the table simply to devote to overhead so the enthusiasts can get more performance, but off the shelf you can't. So
no more Celeron 300As.
Right.
No more E2140s. No more 2600Ks. I
ran a 300A. The 2 gigahertz Celeron that could at like 3.6.
No, I know. But if they had the same tools today, and they could bin that 3.6 at 4.4,
right?
Because as I said, take the i7-920 Nehalem. That was 2.13 gigahertz.
2.66.
Oh, sorry, 266. Yeah. And when you overclocked it, you got it to about 3.2, 3.3, or 3.4.
You could push that upwards of around 3.8 to 4 pretty regularly. I've done a couple at 4.2.
Okay, but imagine if that sold as a 3.8 chip,
right?
And your headroom is 3.8 to 4.2. Right. It's still the same chip,
right? And
that's what Intel is doing these days. And I think that is sometimes. That's kind of why I wanted to get Dan. I mean, so I interviewed Roman Hartung de Bauer recently on the channel, and he gets involved in that quite a lot. I mean, my background is partly overclocking as well. So I wanted to get Dan because he is the head guy at Intel to speak to this stuff. He's the one that they're also rolling out now. And Dan is getting more and more confident on camera. And you can tell that in the way that I interviewed him. He had answers for everything. I did stump him a couple of times because that is my job.
Marketing trained him well. I will not give any spoilers on that, but he gave some pretty phenomenal roundabout speak to say no.
but I also gave not to my own horn, but I also gave roundabout questions to make sure he said something different than the boilerplate answer.
Yes.
And that I think is what I like to bring to interviews. So
no, watching both of you was a number one, I'm a terrible interviewer. It's not something I've trained at. It's not something that I have much experience at.
It takes time. It's a learned skill, though.
Exactly. And watching you perform one was honestly a fantastic experience. I had just as much fun watching you and watching your prepared questions and playing off of him as I did watching him answer those questions and kind of figure his way through. So,
I mean, don't get me wrong. If the video doesn't come out properly, I'm blaming you. It's my equipment, but
that's fine.
It's if I can do more of those.
I've been accused of worse.
If I can do more of those effective interviews on an Antec, because don't get me wrong, they get like a 99.5% upvote ratio. They don't get the traffic. I mean, out of my last 10 videos, 4 are interviews, and they're 6, 7, 9, and 10
right.
out of the top 10. But I think that'll grow in time.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had the Jim Keller. I've had the Pat Gelsinger, which was a roundtable. I'm going to see if I can get a one-on-one.
Yeah.
I do wonder what the upper limit there in terms of wide appeal.
Yeah.
And whether there is a limit on that growth for the channel. I mean, this is a discussion we were having earlier, right?
Yeah.
About
yeah.
certain topics have a natural limit in subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
The number I bring out is, sorry about this, Wendell, but level 1 techs has been at about 330k for a while now.
Yeah.
And I do start to wonder if they've saturated their audience.
Yeah.
Where's the growth? Do they need to... So my thing, I think from my channel perspective,
mm-hmm.
Which a point that I actually learned from Tom Scott,
mm-hmm.
if you ever watched Tom Scott
totally.
videos.
I love his channel.
Right, is every so often, or gradually, slightly pivot your content.
Yeah.
So you're not always covering the same thing. You're just you're slowly moving to soft adjacencies.
Yes.
Right. If you're good and you do it well, you'll bring people with you, and they will eventually pivot into areas they wouldn't normally view.
Yes.
You might lose people
Yeah.
because you're moving outside and they recognize that.
Yeah.
But you'll also get a new audience
mm-hmm.
that will like some of your current stuff, and maybe they'll go see some previous stuff.
Yes.
Now, don't get me wrong. I've stopped watching Tom Scott
uh-huh.
because I think he's pivoted to the point where I think he's doing kind of the same things, and I'm kind of getting slightly frustrated with his delivery. Right?
Yeah, I understand and to me, his videos feel a little too short at this point. Like 4 minutes on you traveled to the Hoover Dam to teach us this one abstract thing.
Yeah,
and it's a 4-minute video. I want 14 minutes out of you.
But
that's my biggest frustration.
But I'm still subscribed.
Yeah,
and I did actually watch a video of his the other day.
Uh-huh.
I am kind of miffed.
Mm-hmm.
So he does every year. He does a call for collabs during the Christmas period when he takes a break.
Uh-huh.
I applied for one.
Uh-huh.
I got through the first round.
Yeah.
As in, I followed the instructions that he said about what to put on the application. At that point, half of them disappear.
Yeah.
After that, he said, "I don't think your video idea has widespread appeal."
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because that's just a function of audience.
Yeah.
My idea was doing a fundamental sand to chip video.
The problem was teaching sand how to think.
Well, yeah, and I thought, what he says in those videos, right? Pitch to me something you would do normally.
Yeah.
Anyway, and that is a video that unfortunately it was pandemic. But I kind of wanted to go to a beach and do it on a beach and showcase how you would go from sand. Admittedly, not beach sand.
That sounds like one of Tom's videos. I'm standing on the beach here and blah blah blah.
So it's annoying because one of my friends from St John's College, Oxford. Mm-hmm. She runs a channel called Draw Curiosity. Mm-hmm. She actually did a video with Tom 2 years ago. You got one. I didn't.
What the hell?
So, but I mean,
Tom, dude.
But yeah, no, going back to my original premise, right? It's to a certain extent, I do wonder if Wendell's channel has peaked up to a level, and whether he needs to pivot. And I'm cognizant of the fact, that there is going to be at some point, and I'm at 60,000 now. I don't know if that's 120, 300, 600. Maybe I'm getting a bit ahead of myself here, where that level is. But I need to be cognizant. I love the word cognizant. I have to be cognizant of where the saturation point is and where my appeal needs to broaden. Whether that's a slow changing character. Mm-hmm. I mean, don't get me wrong, we do have online personas.
Yes.
Right.
Totally.
The way we act in front of camera is sometimes different, or sometimes substantially different to how we act in real life.
What do you say?
I mean, don't get me wrong, pretty much everyone I do meet is exactly the same. But as I said earlier, sometimes I will give an air of, British stiff upper lip, but I'm actually a very crass individual who likes to make dick jokes.
Yes.
So,
which is totally on brand, which is why you should totally publish that lube video. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but and I've had this conversation with other people. People have asked me, I came out of nowhere. I went from 0 to later this month. I'm going to pass 250,000 in subscribers. Thank you.
F in chat.
Yes. But I was not in the journalism industry. I was not in the video making industry. I was not in the content creation industry. I was an IT professional who had a Canon Handycam and a dream, god damn it. But there's a couple things that I think have kept my channel growing and made me successful. And that is number one, not being afraid to just give an opinion. But number two, constantly kind of pivoting my content. And I hadn't really thought about that very much, but I could have very easily become just the X79 Chinese guy. I could have very easily become just the Wish.com guy.
The $1 GPUs.
Yeah, the $1 GPU guy. I could very easily have become just the vGPU guy. What I've become, I think, is a well-rounded channel that's multifaceted that can dive into all of these subjects at will. And
the wheel is always bigger than you think, and you only have a very small portion of it. I mean, not you, but
right, exactly. But I could have very easily just become a Wish unboxing channel if I would have just like, hey, that was successful. Let's do that 10 more times.
Austin Evans.
Yes.
This is your life.
Oh God.
I believe we have a guest.
Hey guys, this is Austin.
Have we a guest?
Just a minute.
Yeah, bring him on over. Or I'll come and get him.
Yes.
That's totally cool.
You will.
That's totally cool.
Jeff is very much doing the dad thing.
Yes.
With Baby X.
So Baby X joined me in the pregame show, and they're saying, "Wow, Ian's a lot shorter than I thought he was."
Almost, but not quite.
Just as much hair.
You know, I'm not a baby person, but that's a cute baby.
That's a cute baby. He can't grow a beard either.
Yeah. Are you sure it's yours?
Yeah. What's up, dude? Oh, say hi to your people.
This is good. This is going to be your channel one day.
That's right.
Follow your father into the family business when he's still making videos in his 60s.
Everything the light touches is your kingdom.
Even the shadowy bit?
No, that's TikTok. We never go there.
Yeah.
Romnipotent sends over 5 more Aussie dollars. Thank you so much, Rom. Potato on tech deals, roasts and barbecue. Potato on craft comps. Can I get a pear cider? Yes, you can, sir.
Did you say Aussie?
Aussie dollars, yeah.
Aussie
dollars.
Yeah.
Aussie, yeah.
Hard S, Aussie.
Okay. Well, do you do GIF or GIF?
GIF.
Oh. Get out of my house.
Looks like I'm sleeping on the sidewalk tonight.
That's right. You wanted a roof over your head, my friend?
Jeremy has the best comment. X's first words are going to be Raid Shadow Legends.
Did you see the video, his first video that he was on? He had the YouTuber face.
Oh.
So I have a thumbnail of him going... Yeah. Oh, are you hungry? You ready to go back to mama? Oh.
It's...
Hand it over. There we go. Doing the dad thing.
I'll be right back.
I will defer to Jeff on all child matters.
You looked uncomfortable even grabbing the bottle. What do I do with this?
It's I think I've said before online that I'm one of this whole child-free crowd, and we discussed this earlier. And
you and BPS Customs need to get to know each other.
I mean, I'm a journalist, right? And I'm in the UK, usually dealing with US time zones.
Yeah.
So my travel, I do so much travel. My wife is a lawyer, and that's 70 plus hours a week.
Yeah.
Not only do we not have time for kids, neither of us particularly like kids.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I had this discussion with you or with Tech, but the thing that worries us is that we might be one of the sort of low percentage that end up with a child that needs continual lifetime support.
Yeah.
I mean, both of us have had family members who require on others for full-time care.
Yeah.
and we've seen kind of the mental effects that it can bring to those carers.
Totally.
And so we never want to put ourselves, not only ourselves in that position,
Mhm.
or bring a child into the world in that position.
Absolutely.
And-
I will say, having kids is the single greatest joy in my life. I wanted to stop at 2. That's on the record now.
There's a great British comedian who has a joke. Is like, when we had 1, we wanted 3.
Yeah.
When we got 2, we decided we wanted 1.
Yeah. This is a joke she's going to hate me for telling, but on our first date, we're having lunch, and she tells me she wants 4 kids. I still married her.
I am 1 of 6.
Yeah.
But I'm number 4 of 6.
Okay.
But my mother had 6 in 10 years.
Yeah.
And I'm number 4. So, yeah.
Didn't do much in between, I'm guessing.
It's growing up with that many siblings.
Yeah.
I mean, it varies just because, family dynamics and
Right.
whatever. So some of them are half brothers and sisters and whatnot. But growing up in that environment, it wasn't for me.
Yeah, I'm the oldest of 3, and I'm the oldest by 11 years. And so I grew up basically an only child.
You mean you also had to take care of your...
Yeah.
It's... Yeah.
Yeah.
And
my wife is the oldest of 4.
And yeah. That being said, cute baby.
Yeah. Even Ian thinks he's cute. So there we go.
Dare I ask if your other 2 are here? Because I haven't...
They're downstairs. They already went to bed.
Oh, yeah.
They go to bed at like 7:45, 8 o'clock. So
I assumed I was late coming back from dinner.
yeah. You would have ran into them, but...
I'm going to miss them tomorrow, so
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah. Well,
Don't say that.
sometimes a little bit will
Bit
come up
might
about
wake
4
up.
o'clock.
Okay.
So don't say that because then Bit will wake up.
Yeah,
So,
Bit is the one who will shake you awake, realize it's not me, and then freak out.
So expect ear-piercing young female scream
Yeah.
at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
I will set my alarm for 3:55.
Bit hysterical crying.
Yeah.
Oh,
Who are you?
the ghost of Christmas past. Ooh. I am your tech potato.
Eat your
Ooh.
vegetables.
Yes. Sorry, we've been going on for...
now.
Keep going with the super chats because we've been
We've
slowly
been,
going through it for 20 minutes.
Sergey, 5 Canadian, thank you so much. Novella Hub, $5. Does Ian like pickles?
No.
Good man.
He has been talking about the pickle beer
Yes.
for the whole...
Yes, he has. I have a pickle beer in my fridge, courtesy of John, Mr. Hops and Brews.
Yes.
I loathe pickles, and that's not even a strong enough word.
This
is a PG-13 show.
Like I said, you need to do some videos where the craft is the video and the computing is the end.
Mm-hmm.
Pickle beer from a height. Pickle beer with a sledgehammer. Pickle beer with an ice pick.
There you go. Yeah. I like that idea.
Sorry, I'll just stop in here because Andrew Preston says graphics interchange format. It's not giraffics. No, but it is gin.
It is gin.
That's always my...
Yeah.
Even though I am a GIF... Where, that's a stupid argument because it's gin.
It's gin, right. Exactly. Gin. And gin is the closest phonetic relative to GIF.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
GIF, GIN.
No. I'm saying the argument is stupid because there are counter examples on both sides.
There's no phonetic rules for acronyms. There are no phonetic rules for acronyms.
I'm not getting 2 layers deep. I'm just staying to layer 1 and just saying it's a stupid argument.
I'm starting at layer 1 and saying there's no pronunciation rules.
Is this like networking? There are 7 layers.
Right. Well, there's 8 layers, and we call that PEBCAC. Problem in layer 8.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. John sends over $5. Thank you so much, John. Great show having the doctor in the house. Yeah, I didn't know you make house calls, but thank you.
Reassuringly expensive. I mean me, not the cider.
Right. Let's see. We got 30 of... That's a currency I've never seen before.
What is it? That would be ringgit.
Ringgit? What's a ringgit? 30 shekels.
Oh, shekels. ILS. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I did see that pop up. Yeah. So is
30 shekels.
Israeli shekels. Yeah.
Okay.
So about $10.
Yeah, I'm on board. Okay. Did you hear the YouTuber who lost 150 videos? Totally not Mark. Not familiar.
I do know that there's a few content ID scams going around.
Yes, there are content ID scams going around. There are 2FA bypass scams going around.
No. But I mean, with the content ID scams, it's more companies are telling YouTube they have the copyrights to certain music.
Yes.
And if you're using the same music in your outro or intro every time.
Yep.
One arm that I haven't pulled leverage is that my father is a musician.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure I can get him to make unique jingles for me.
That'd be pretty cool.
But yeah, no, it's one of the channels I used to follow.
You ever need a bass riff?
I'm not musical at all. One of the channels I used to follow is called Grey Day Under A. He's a bit of a ranty British YouTuber, and he had a very...
Of course he is.
He's gone a bit weird recently, but most of his back catalogue at the end ends with like a 7-second jingle, which is actually very popular.
Yeah.
And his whole back catalogue of videos all got copyright striked because of that.
Yeah.
And as a result, he left YouTube for about 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, he came back and some of his content has gone a bit insane.
Yeah.
But some of his old stuff is quite funny.
Yep.
But he had to change that final jingle. And because YouTube, you can't edit your videos, post-upload.
Right.
I mean...
Unless you're Mark Rober.
You get to a certain size, right? I mean, there are arguments for and against.
Yeah, there's arguments for and against. There's definitely arguments against if it's a bait and switch kind of thing. There's definitely arguments for going...
So Tech Deals had a great response to this. He said... If you change the video to any degree, right, regardless of whether you have an algorithm to detect how much it's changed, because that could be a thing in the future.
Yes.
Every comment that was done pre-change, you have an asterisk say this comment was left on a previous version of the video and may not be indicative of the current content.
I think that's
fair. I mean, the whole argument is say you do. Like with Twitter, say you do a tweet that says "I like apples,"
right,
and everybody go, "Yeah, they're great," and then
you go, "I like Hitler."
Yes.
Right.
Godwin's law invoked.
Yes.
But yes, that is... Yeah. I mean, if anybody says, why don't they do this?
This is the greatest tweet ever. Right?
That is the argument that you must always pull.
Yes.
And it's not until you have a definitive answer to that. Mm-hmm. I think Tech's answer goes some way to addressing that, and I think that's a little bit of a good idea. Mm-hmm. But also, I think that arguably the former version should still be available. That's bad English. I English good in it, right? There has to be.
And you guys claim you invented it.
Yeah, we mashed it together from Anglo-Saxon, and
we turned it into something,
you took
languageable.
You took out the U's because America is all about me.
That's right. About damn time you figured that out.
There's no I in team, but there is a me. Yeah. Sorry, keep going.
That's all right. Andrew, $5. The organic computer is on. I assume you didn't film the assembly video. No, I did not. Not even for the patron members. Big Spoon, $1.99. Hear about the guy who invented the knock-knock joke. No?
That may be something that...
I'm assuming that's a reference to something that we may or may not have said earlier. I don't know.
I think we've established that Big Spoon has his own circle of ideas.
Yes.
And that's great. Unique people are great. Unfortunately, the reference is lost.
Yes, I'm not getting the reference. I might be 5 minutes late, but I'm still not getting it. Scott, $25. Thank you very much, Scott. Greetings to the channel producer and to her good health. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
I made the same joke when I got in, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
She is. You're the provider. She is. Well, she was providing at the time.
Yeah, she's the creator.
She is the creator.
Yeah.
She is the producer.
The long running joke is she's the producer. She's
Yeah.
the video producer. And yeah. So we just call her the producer.
Yeah. You say, what are you? The help?
Yes. I'm the talent.
T-boy. Oh, sorry, craft boy.
One of us has 3 kids.
Better you than me.
That's
Right, I will say that much.
fair enough.
Tanmay says Ian can be part of the show via video calls. I think, like I said, this show usually starts around 8
The
Pacific.
problem is time zones exist.
I mean, it's usually 8 Pacific, right?
8 Pacific, yeah.
So,
Which is 4 or 5 depending on our daylight savings situation.
yeah. So, yeah, if I am part of it, it's usually I come on the after party. If I'm up at 7 a.m. my time and I've had a coffee, because I see all of you guys, and there's the guy in New Zealand and whatever. Yeah. But you all, it's slowly getting darker, and in my room it slowly gets lighter. But in order to see that, you need to be part of the Patreon. That's right. Part of the Discord, and you do that through $1
Look
at
at him
Patreon.
with the plugs. Like a pro.
Well, the thing I love is Jeff said, I love the fact you said this. It's like, I will listen to your BS, but you have to pay me at least $1 to send it.
That's exactly right.
So
you want to troll me, you got to pay the troll toll.
Yeah, the troll toll. Yeah.
I'm not going to say the rest of the quote. But yeah, join the Patreon. It's only $1 a month. Minimum donation $1 a month. You can give more if you want. It's definitely appreciated. It helps keeps the light on. As you can see, the Christmas lights went out behind us. So you're definitely not donating enough. Either that or there's a timer under there that's preset to 11 p.m. I'm not sure. Either way, join the Patreon. Helps keep the lights on around here. Helps keep the content coming to you guys that you enjoy. And keeps my family fed. Because they eat a lot.
So it is, what time is it in the UK now? Like 7 a.m.?
It'd be about 7 a.m. right now, yeah.
Yeah, my father is trying to contact me, and I'm trying to give him, I assume you're just youtube.com/craftcomputing.
Yes.
And I'll give him a link and see if he pops in.
All right.
He won't talk. He might watch and be like, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's the snob?
No, the funny thing is, I said, I'll call you at 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
I meant 7 my time, not 7 his time.
Which is like 3 p.m. Right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. I think I was tunnel vision. Tunnel brain. So.
Yeah, we got a couple minutes left. Big Spoon, $1.99. He won the Nobel Prize.
That's in relation to the guy who invented the knock-knock joke. He won the Nobel Prize. Yeah.
You think you're awfully clever, don't you?
It reminds me, that's the video I didn't make. We just had supercomputing in St. Louis, Missouri. Yeah. Normally it's an event of 14,000 people. This year was 3,000 because pandemic, and some people argue that 3,000 number included the vendors and the people working at the venue. Yeah.
Stuff. And like 17 random people who...
But the important thing there is, at supercomputing, they launched the top 500 supercomputer list. And we're still waiting for the first exascale machine. Yeah. Right? Yep. Which in the US is expected to be Frontier, which is built with AMD Radeon Instinct and Trento GPUs, which is their Milan with a special I/O die, we believe. And that's expected in the June edition of the top 500 list next time. However, there are 2 Chinese supercomputers that are... There are people who say they have seen data which say that China already has 2 exascale computers. However, they have not submitted data to the top 500 because it's company secret. Country secrets, and they might use those things for, and they just don't want it public, right? Some companies don't announce what their internal machines are.
And that happens all the time, actually.
But those those two supercomputers, or at least one of them, was used in 2 papers for what they call the Gordon Bell Prize. And at supercomputing every year, they pick 6 papers in the supercomputing community that basically have modern, relevant research based around supercomputing. It can be in any field. In this case, there was one based on machine learning. There was one on nuclear reactor simulation. There was 2 on COVID and production and stuff.
But protein breakdown. That
yeah. But two of them involved this Chinese supercomputer, and if you run the numbers, one of them was like at 4 exaflops, but only if you ran it in FP16. Right, top 500 uses FP64 LinPack. The other one used FP64, but only got 250 petaflops, which is a quarter of an exaflop. Right. So you're wondering, well, where's the exaflop computer here?
Right.
But the thing is, Gordon Bell paper is based on real workloads. Right. LinPack is a synthetic workload, and that's what goes into top 500. There are some interesting architecture discussions about the processors involved in that machine that I still want to go back and do a video on. So many videos I have ideas for.
Join the club.
But yeah, so China already has an exascale system. I forget my original point, but supercomputing, there was exascale systems, and so much more silicon out there. I mean, I like to think when I talk, you focus mostly on the home server, x86, graphics. If you were to touch on AI, there's like 50 AI chip companies, and and you would lose people instantly because you're talking about stuff way outside the normal scope.
Where do I start? And I'm sorry, but you all aren't going out and buying like purpose-built AI supercomputers for your home labs. Like that's just not my market.
No, but understanding the chip that Jim Keller's working on, and the fact that he uses RISC-V cores with custom vector instructions,
it's just something people want to know, right?
And yeah, I love to cover that stuff on my channel, and along with lube and lube.
I'm so glad your dad could tune in to watch this.
Oh yeah, it's
keep the family line proud.
I don't know whether he. I said I'm on YouTube right now. Okay. Sorry, Dad. I meant 7 a.m. my time.
Yeah. Which
is 4 p.m. your time.
Yeah, you're what, +3? We're -7. UTC.
No.
Where you guys?
You're 8 hours behind me. 8 hours behind the UK.
You're 0 UTC.
I forget what time of the year it is. All I know is you're 8 hours.
Okay.
So 3 p.m. Not 4 p.m. 3 p.m.
Okay, gotcha.
East is 5, Pacific is 8.
Yes.
Except for the 1 week where the US changes their clocks a different week of the year to everyone else in the world.
Yes. Yeah.
Special.
Unless you're Arizona, in which you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Tech Lube Potato. Potato lubricant is just butter. Andrew gets 2 gold stars.
Oh, well said. That's amazing. Andrew M, $5. Thank you so much. Joining the Andrews supporting tonight. Love the vids. Thank you very much. I'm assuming you meant me and possibly Ian. I mean, he's got some good stuff out there too.
Andrews?
Joining all the Andrews. There's a bunch of Andrews in there. I've had like 4 super chats from different Andrews. Yeah, so he's joining the Andrews.
Andy.
Yeah. Where is Andy? He should be up by now.
So are you a Jeff or a Jeffrey? Or is that not public information?
It's... Technically, I'm Jeffrey.
Okay. With a J.
Yeah, with a J. I answer to whatever. I really don't have a preference on what people call me. Most people just call me Jeff. Obviously, as always, I'm Jeff. He said the thing! I know. Yeah, so I'm just Jeff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ian is Scottish for John. I have no roots to Scotland.
How did they screw that up? I mean, John is not that difficult.
It's Scotland. There was whiskey involved.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, it's like Ireland. There was whiskey involved,
Yeah.
and that's why we have names like Siobhan and Neve.
Patrick sends over $5. Thank you very much, Patrick. Diaper Fund, 5 a.m. Come quick. Have a good night, fellas. Yes.
Oh, 5 a.m. That's the time we have to wake up.
That's time our alarm is going off. It's 11 right now.
Yeah. It's, I know Oregon is the land of legalized substances. I think the wrong one for getting up quickly.
Right, that's the one for, like, going to bed right now.
Yeah.
I'd offer you some, but you need to get back into your country.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's I do wonder sometimes like that, because if people use it recreationally, can they actually? If they say they're going on a flight the next 2 days,
yeah,
they're still going to set off the sniffer dog.
Yeah,
regardless.
Right.
It's because it hangs around. I mean, I've walked through San Francisco.
Yeah.
There are 3 smells in San Francisco. One of them is the herb.
Yep.
One of them is just nothing.
Yeah.
And the other one is stuff related to the bathroom. I'm putting that diplomatically.
Yeah.
Those are your 3 smells in downtown San Francisco.
Yeah, I would almost say there's like this. You touched on it with one of those. There's smells related to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go there. There's smells related to the bathroom, but then there's like this wet, moist funk. And so you say nothing, I say like this wet, moist funk. It's not bathroom excrement. It's just this like, it's not mold, but it's like mildewy, moist smell.
Did you know the most hated human word?
Moist.
In the English language is moist.
Yeah.
I think gusset is a close second.
Yes. Yeah. Demonetize me now.
I know GeoPilot 1 says there's a fecal map for San Francisco. Oh dear. That's my next destination. I'm looking forward to the conference.
Yep.
Not looking forward to that bit. Oh, I think my point about supercomputing is that we have to get you to supercomputing.
Yes.
1 year.
Yes.
I mean,
it's been on my radar, but so here's my thing. Like, again, I've only been in this industry for like 4.5 years. That's kind of a newbie when you come to like reporting journalism, especially in the tech space.
Yep.
The problem is the last 24 months have been complete lockdown, no travel. And when that happened, I was at 90,000 subscribers.
And this year, even though it went ahead, you had a newborn.
Right. And even though like I had a foothold when lockdown happened, all of a sudden vendors that I was talking to stopped talking to me because it's like
they didn't even know what they were doing.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not one of their normal contacts. And so I got the, hey, we got your request and we'll get back to you shortly. Which means no.
Yeah. Or it means you have to be the one that's proactive. You can't rely on them to get back to you.
Exactly. And so over the last year, I've just given up contacting vendors, and like I'm keeping the relationships going. Like, hey, how are you doing, man? Like,
just want to make sure.
Yeah, you okay? Like,
If you're around, I'd grab a coffee with you.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
You
ever make it to Salem, Oregon?
Yeah.
But
it's next year. If everything's in a better place, we need to get you out to Dallas.
Yeah.
And you can be a cameraman again. Don't worry.
I'm honored.
But at that point, I may have to pay for your flight. For that.
I made Epos Vox be my cameraman at CES. That was fun.
Yeah. We were talking on the way over here. Most of your stuff to date has been more sort of home labby.
Uh-huh.
You've been leveraging AliExpress to a certain extent, and you're dealing with 3, 4, 5-year-old GPUs for some of your projects.
Yeah.
I introduced you to Supermicro because they offered me hardware that I just didn't have time to review, and I thought Jeff would be a better fit for that.
Yep.
You've got the first video of that going up tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yes. So
Ice Lake, 56 cores, 2U.
Oh, you got the dual 28 core 6330s.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. That's always fun. So hopefully that blooms into, because I know actually
there's a paltry 512 gigs of DDR4 3200 MTS. So
yeah. When
I'm not saying megahertz just because you're here.
we had that discussion earlier with Dan.
Yes, we
did. So because I also know that the guy who deals with that on at a press level is actually based in Oregon as well, I think. So, so that would be good. But as we were driving down from Portland, I was thinking, so who does big mainline server reviews, tech reviews in the industry? Right. Number one is Serve the Home.
Right, there's Patrick.
Patrick always gets there. He does a lot of stuff. He deals with a lot of OEM vendors as well. Then kind of joint second, depending on who you read, there's Phoronix, Michael Larabelle.
Yep.
Then there's Anantech, which is usually, has been in the past, a combination of me and Andre.
Yep.
Before that, it was Johan. Andre's left Anantech last week. So I'm going to have to pick up the slack there, just to add on to my other pile of things.
Yeah, but that's also kind of print only. So
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and then kind of beyond that, sometimes Hardware Lux, Andreas Schilling.
Yeah.
Actually, for one of the recent reviews, he borrowed our stuff to review. It's kind of AMD or Intel said, give it. Please, can you pass it to him? He's only half an hour away. He was only halfway an hour away from Andre, so he just picked it up. Right, and he gave it back, obviously.
Yeah.
So I think over the next year, especially as we go through the launch of Sapphire Rapids and Genoa, you were saying that one of the hardest parts of your job is finding the right people to talk to.
Yeah.
Which, I'll be honest, even in my privileged position at Anantech,
as doctory in Cuttress,
even though the name Anantech gets a foot in the door, it's sometimes a big pain just to even get to the right person.
Yeah.
So I think I can get you speaking to the right people at AMD.
Yeah.
For Genoa,
Yep.
I know exactly who to contact you because there is only one guy dealing with that.
Yep. Because I've dealt with their marketing team before, which also doesn't really deal with the server end of things.
No, it's a lot of these companies, consumer and server, are essentially two different companies.
Right.
No, it's like they're different companies.
Yeah.
Like Samsung Electronics is different to Samsung White Goods.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. It's that sort of difference.
Yeah.
And then with Intel, I mean, I know you met the Intel guys today.
Yeah.
Most of them are on the consumer side.
Yeah.
There is a very particular server guy that I think I want to introduce you to. And you having that Ice Lake review out tomorrow, if they turn around and say, well, you deal with mainstream Xeon, Xeon E level, Xeon E3, or old E5 stuff, this will give you the big iron push you need to say, actually, I do high-end stuff.
Right.
I have a relationship with Supermicro.
Right.
Because we need more brand new server class reviewers in this space, and it's speaking earlier about moving slightly, pivoting into new niches.
Right.
I think you'd be really good for that.
Yeah. I appreciate that, number one. Number two, that's what I did as a job for 13 years. Like, it's like, I came out of nowhere from the journalism side of things.
Yeah.
It's not like I sprang from nothing.
But you couldn't bring your work hardware home for video.
Right, I couldn't bring my work hardware home, but at the same time, I've been buying these servers for clients for small and medium-sized deployments for 13 years before I, started to turn a camera on.
And the fun thing is, it's that sort of level which are actually the volume shipments.
Right.
So if Intel and AMD were to turn around and say, but you don't really focus on, the 64 core, the 40 core stuff, you could turn around and say, okay, let's start talking 16 core.
Right.
Because that would still be amazing content.
Right. And some of my... I didn't deploy much in the last couple years of my employment. But...
Wendell also does server review. Sorry, Wendell. Sorry. Love you, dude. Sorry. The second drink is getting to me.
Yes.
Wendell does.
Hi.
Oh, my dad did come in.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm taking the dog for a walk. Have fun. Speak later, Dad. I don't think he gets how YouTube works.
Yeah.
It's not a private message.
That's all right. Techno Tim, Network Chuck, My Playhouse, they're all great creators. I don't mean to disparage any of them.
I don't know any of those. Sorry.
Techno Tim is a little bit newer on the scene. I think he's around 65,000, if I remember correctly.
I thought you were going to say 16 or
yeah, no.
60 years old.
No.
So he's my size.
Yeah. And then Network Chuck has been doing he does a lot of tutorials, a lot of beginner Linux. Here's how to get this service up and running. He does a lot of fantastic stuff with that. They still don't do the deep hardware dives into the nitty-gritty kind of stuff. And I hope I show this well enough tomorrow in the video that's coming out with the Supermicro server that I know the nitty-gritty stuff. Like, that's why I'm good at the old stuff. It's because I did this for so long. And again, not to disparage their content, because all of them are fantastic content. They all do great stuff. But I'm hoping my content obviously speaks for itself, so we say.
You know, we spoke about the Corsair briefing at 7 a.m.
We did.
My editor-in-chief, Ryan, has messaged me to say he was at that briefing. It sucked.
Yes, it did.
Okay.
It was an awful... And that was my first briefing. That was my first conference briefing that I went to. It was a 7 a.m. Corsair on Monday morning at CES.
I mean,
who does that?
I mean, today you were in a position where that Silicon Photonics thing, the first thing this morning.
Yeah.
That was essentially a briefing.
Yeah.
You saw how hard I went at that guy.
Yeah. And he was like, hold on, what?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of my job that I love, because people go in assuming that they're speaking to journalists who write about technology.
Yes.
Rather than technologists who just happen to write.
Both of us at one point threw him questions that he's like, that is way beyond my pay grade.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. One of the things that I think you must have experienced pretty much for the first time, because I think it was clear in your reactions.
Yeah.
So we were speaking to the Silicon Photonics guy.
Yeah. And
the Silicon Photonics engineer...
By the way, Silicon Photonics is light generation at the silicon level.
Yeah.
It is...
optical over electrical.
Exactly. It is... Intel has been making a major push, as has... there's...
Marvell,
Mellanox,
Broadcom,
yeah. They've all been making this push of, instead of having discrete laser optical elements, pushing the optical elements down to silicon and
instead of making your laser that big, you make your laser on the scale of microns.
Exactly. And still have the same power and control out of it.
Yeah.
And so it's a really interesting field, and I had only previously thought of it from like a networking standpoint, but like I said, we got more insight into this may be wider branching than that.
Yes. But, so the Silicon Photonics guy is laser focused on Silicon Photonics. His goal is I didn't even realize I was doing that. So his goal is make the chip that you put in a thing that goes 100 gig, 200 gig, 400 gig, 1 terabit.
1 terabit. Yeah.
As we were talking earlier. You asked about how this relates to the Xeon product line and the development of that. He doesn't get involved in the Xeon product line.
Yeah.
And I mentioned, I can see it in your face. You clicked that this wasn't the guy to ask after you asked the question.
Yeah.
Because we cover Intel, consumer, enterprise, networking,
5G,
storage, what connectivity, and so we have, every time we speak to an engineer, we have a broader understanding of the company they work for than they do.
Right.
So it's very poignant when you ask those questions and then you realize that's the combination of markets that neither person in those markets has the ability to answer because they
Correct.
don't understand the other side of their own business. What annoys me, right, is, okay, that happens at Intel.
Yeah.
I get it. But I also have to do that at AMD and Nvidia and everybody else.
Yeah.
It's like, I know you, I know your competitors' products
Yeah.
to such a degree, I feel annoyed
that you don't know the answer to this one.
No, that you don't know the answer to something within your own company.
Yeah.
And it's because for us this is a passion.
Yes.
For them, it's a job.
Yeah. So specifically, what we were talking about was photonic electronics or photonic conductors.
Mm-hmm.
In the context of not only like a top of network switch communicating multiple terabit down to clients in the stack as well as clients in the data center, but also within hardware packages themselves as far as motherboard interconnect between CPUs, memory controllers, PCI Express, etc.
Right, so basic thing is, imagine you had, the modern HPC equivalent of SLI.
Yeah.
Right? SLI is just 2 cards and you put a finger.
Yeah.
Right? All of that is electrical.
Mm-hmm.
I think the bandwidth of an NVLink is something like 50 gigabytes per second. Right?
Yeah.
If you had optical connections instead, you could still apply it like a SLI finger, but you suddenly have 1 terabit.
Yeah. And you could also be 3 server racks away. You could be in the other side of the building. You could be... And so the distribution, I mean, the power to send a terabit of data is right in the neighborhood of about 3 watts with this technology.
Or it's tending to 3 watts. I think
trending to 3 watts.
I think right now he kind of said it's like 25.
Right.
He kind of let that number slip.
But the goal is 3, right?
Yeah, the simulations suggest.
Right.
And lots of effort goes into those simulations. That's another video and explanation in of itself.
Yeah. But they're looking at using this optical transference technology not just for network Ethernet connectivity or InfiniBand or whatever have you, but interconnect between 2 CPUs on a dual socket motherboard, and how do they communicate with memory?
QPI.
Yeah, thank you. Now, as some of you might remember, with Intel Nehalem, they took the memory controller off of the Northbridge chip and put it onto the CPU package to get it closer to the memory and better integrate it for lower latency, higher speeds.
And lower power.
The downside to that is if you now have 2 sockets, they each have independent memory controllers, and they're not looking at the other one's memory anymore.
But also you're expending die area and increased power because you now have 2 memory controllers.
Correct.
But again, it was during a time where they're thinking, we need to co-package more because it's more efficient. We're now going backwards, saying we have better interconnect so we can split everything up again.
Exactly.
And this is what this is.
And so my question was, if you're thinking about 2 and 4 and 8 socket systems, which Intel does produce, although they won't let us look at them.
But bearing in mind that this guy might not even know that multi-socket is a thing because it's not his department.
It's not his department, right. I said, could this potentially be integrated into a motherboard where you now centralize a memory controller?
So, what's a motherboard to this?
Right.
Yeah.
But between CPUs, and so now you're eliminating NUMA nodes on a CPU. You're killing that latency. You're giving shared memory access across CPU cores and across CPU dies. That could have a huge implication for the server market as far as scalability. And he just got this like ghost in the headlights, and I went, right, okay.
Just like when you talk about a beer.
Yeah.
That was his.
Barrel-aged stout blended with Earl Grey tea, black tea, and honey.
Yeah. But it's funny because I like that question.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think is perhaps not solved by that question is Intel likes its big monolithic CPUs.
It does.
The whole Sapphire Rapids is 1,800 square millimeters of silicon with EMIB connections to act as if it was monolithic, right? There is still a mesh involved, right? Yeah, tiles. There is still a mesh involved, which is the Uncore.
Sorry, chiplets? Tiles. Tiles? Chiplets.
That mesh consumes a good chunk of power to the chip, regardless of I/O, regardless of anything else. Same with AMD, infinity fabric between chiplets and the I/O die.
Yes.
We're not even talking socket to socket. We're just talking
Right.
within
We're
a
just
single.
talking single wafer.
Right.
Right.
You can use optical connections between chiplets and I/O die.
Yeah.
For example, or as in you could have 1,000 chiplets connected to an I/O die with optical connections.
Yeah.
What Intel has to decide is at what point does the mesh become unscalable?
Yeah.
But at what point does the optical connectivity or the additional cost of optical connectivity makes sense for those optical deployments?
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking later in the day about how far can the ring bus go?
Yeah.
Well, maybe
And how its days have been numbered for a long time.
maybe with optical,
Yeah.
it stays on life support. Sorry, no. I mean, there's another avenue which can be utilized.
Yes.
Inside that technology. To say it's on life support is bad. I have a video about the limitations on ring buses on Tech Potato.
I haven't seen that one.
I can't even remember what it's called.
I feel bad.
Can you bring up my channel?
I can.
Because in typical YouTube channel, I have not given it the right name. You can also go to techpotato.com.
Oh, really? Well, you can go to craftcomputing.net and get mine. So
yeah. If you just go to videos, and it is called
GPU.
Oh, ring or mesh or other. Yeah, the future of AMD Ryzen.
Okay.
54,000 views.
Nice.
It's one of
Look
my better
at you.
I go through periods where my videos do really well.
Yeah.
It also relates to my mental state at a time, and it's a side project, so I haven't optimized
that doesn't stop.
What mental
mental state and video output.
Oh, don't worry, I'm mental.
Yes.
I've been tested. My mother had me tested. There are jokes about us, in Intel with glue, right? Okay, This is something that I think I wanted to do a video, but I don't think I could. I mean, actually, I made a video called Intel's Glue about Sapphire Rapids.
Yeah.
You know what glue logic is?
Yes.
It's basically an interconnect.
Yes.
So when Intel says glue, they could have said the word interconnect. But they're not talking about Elmer's.
Yeah. What's funny is Intel originally meant glue as a dig at AMD, and
so that was never proved. That was what everybody from that workshop interpreted it as. But
that's true.
And the disconnect there was that you met a few of the people today, and I described them as you could tell that they had no objectivity because they'd been in so deep in that system. Yeah. There are still people who do have objectivity in that, and they do understand that there is a battlefield and some wins, some losses. Yeah. Other people see well, we can only win, right? We don't know whether the engineer providing that slide, and it's a very eponymous slide. If you search for Intel Glue, you get that slide.
Right, you'll find it.
Right. Yeah. Whether it was malicious on purpose, or not malicious,
or tongue-in-cheek.
But you know how I made the laser joke and I didn't realize the laser focus joke?
Yeah.
I do wonder if somebody had said, glue.
What's really funny is in the overclocking lab, I almost made a joke about, there's a chiller here. I wanted to make that joke, and I'm like, no, I'm going to be on my best behavior today.
Well, no, so the funny thing is we kind of spoke about that.
Yeah, we spoke about it at lunch like an hour later. Right?
Yeah, and
for those that don't know, this is the Computex 19? 18? 19?
Yeah.
18. With Intel's
28 core
chiller 5 gigahertz Xeon.
Right? Xeon W3175X.
Yeah.
They did a presentation saying all cores at 5...
No, 3175. That's right.
Yeah. And so the presentation was all cores at 5 gigahertz.
Yeah.
Greg Bryant, who's the EVP of their client computing group, did the presentation. And I even said this on the channel before. Every time he did the backstage practice, he said it was an overclock system. On stage, for whatever reason, it's different when the cameras are actually on, right, mentally.
Yeah.
He didn't say the word overclockable.
Yeah.
And that confused everybody. Everybody went to print with a story.
Yeah.
But also, cameras can zoom now.
Yeah.
To even my smartphone camera can zoom.
Yeah.
And you could see that it wasn't a standard cooling system,
and
it was a
there's
chiller.
some pretty good ISO ranges on cameras in a dark stage.
Yeah,
right?
or even additional AI night mode sort of stuff.
Right.
And you could see it was a chiller. And I went
see the insulated tubing. You could see the.
I went to Gigabyte the next morning at like 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Because they said it's literally going to be there for 15 minutes. If you ain't there, you ain't seeing it.
Right.
And it's a 750 watt chiller or 1 horsepower or whatever.
Yeah.
And
something hotel room circuits. Something.
And I think we had this on discussion. And I think we can talk about this.
Yes.
It's because it relates to how kind of Intel's attitudes have changed post-pat as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They said that, I explained that one of the things that excites me about Intel recently is that I speak to people and they talk about having plan Bs, right? Having the ability that if something goes wrong, there's a backup.
Yeah.
And I said, in that situation, okay, he didn't say overclockable. That was a screw up, and that was an unforeseen screw up. Yeah. But also, we couldn't see in the system, and it wasn't presented anywhere in text that it was chilled.
Right.
If
they rolled out, for those who didn't see it, I watched it live from my house because it was 2018.
I was there.
30,000 subs. Is they rolled out this cart, and on the cart was just a tower and a monitor.
Was it like a Corsair 760D or something?
Right. It wasn't anything extravagant. But they rolled out a cart, and it had this long extension cord behind it, and they ran the Cinebench test, Cinebench R20 on stage.
5 gigahertz.
At 28 cores, 5 gigahertz all core. And during the presentation, they never once mentioned overclocked or overclockable, or
but it was in the practice,
or be lower than ambient cooling, or any of the things that would have said explicitly, this is what we're doing.
I've heard from multiple people at Intel from different sides saying the script said overclocked,
right?
And I fully agree with them, because I don't see why they wouldn't say it.
Right.
There would have to be something fundamentally wrong, and I'm not willing to admit that Intel has that many fundamental issues.
Right.
And I trust
people are still people, and people can make mistakes or miss a word in the moment.
Yeah.
Right.
And the fact that we couldn't see it was a chiller, the fact that it wasn't explained in the text, and I explained to them, if that had been the plan B, if the plan B had been literally the text behind the person speaking, saying overclocked, chilled, as in, this is not a standard user scenario. Right. We have gone balls to the wall on this. There wouldn't have been any backlash.
It was also the circumstances around the release, because here comes AMD with Threadripper 32 core. And so Intel's coming on stage an hour after AMD just unveiled Threadripper 32 core, which is far and above beyond anything Intel had put out. I mean, Intel's best thing was the 99 or 980XE.
10980.
Or 10980.
Still 18.
Gen?
Still 18 core.
Yeah, exactly. Was still 18 core. And
I don't know where mine is.
Yeah.
Which is worrying. I know I have one. It's somewhere.
But so it was a combination of like a slip up in wording. It was poor lighting on stage, as well as what did AMD just show off? And then here's Intel with...
Was it like the day before or something, or the day after, or
it was close proximity too. I do remember that.
I mean, so that's kind of what excites me about one of the things that I can specifically point to about this new Pat Gulsing at Intel. I mean, don't get me wrong. I guess I think I have a lot more criticisms than most, but I also agree there are a lot of positives. But one of the things that really makes me more is definitely a positive comment is that Intel acknowledges that in the past, where they haven't had these Plan Bs, and I'm not being euphemistic when I say Plan B, because I know Plan B is something else. That they have backup.
Abort.
Oh dear, says the man who's just had a child. They have backup.
I couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
They have backup ideas, which for a company their size, for as much that rides on every new generation and every marketing message, backup plans are a must. I mean, you make videos, I make videos and write content. We rarely have backup plans. If things don't get published, it don't get published, and we just have to work that little bit harder.
That's exactly
and
right.
Other stuff gets dropped. I mean,
some of my projects, and I know some of yours as well, we're sinking like multiple days of production time into. And you go to film that, and it doesn't work the day of filming, you scrap 2 days of work.
Or you have to dig that t-shirt back out of the wash, hope it doesn't stink, and re-record something.
That's exactly right.
Or you do the Tom Scott method and just wear the same t-shirt every week.
Yeah.
Should we tell people about our fun sponsoring video? I mean, sort of sponsoring idea?
Yes.
Right.
So it's 11:40. I think let's finish with that.
Yeah. So I have this common thing. I mentioned it on my channel before about how written media and video media approach sponsorships.
Yes.
Right?
Vastly different.
Written media is very traditional. Here is editorial, here is marketing, never the twain shall meet.
Right.
If they do, it's called sponsored content. And in the printed media, it's usually designed to look like it's real content, but it's not.
Right.
But the idea is that even if it's sponsored content, somebody else writes it, right? Mm-hmm. And it's separate to all. So the editors can maintain editorial independence. Mm-hmm. However, in the video space, there are a lot of YouTubers out there, and this goes from like small YouTubers, 1-2 person, all the way up to 60 people enterprises,
not naming names.
Yeah. But they will do one video 1 week, say sponsored by, let's say Intel, because Intel is the obvious one here because they do a lot of sponsored videos.
Yes.
They do a sponsored by Intel video.
We'll do half of your production team, we're going to give $5,000 cash to buy whatever Intel rig they want. It's just
Not naming names. Not being just. What's up? But on the next video could very much be a brand new review of a product that doesn't work well, or doesn't, and they will criticize it heavily, but they will not mention that previously they had done sponsored content.
They had received sponsored money from X company.
Whereas if I do a video or write a sponsored content piece for Intel, in future, whenever I write a review, I'd have to say, disclaimer, I have previously taken money for projects in cooperation with Intel, or worse to that effect. I mean, there are ways to write that where it could be really negatively explicit and words that would, essentially fanny about the the exact meaning of the letter of the content. But in a written piece, if you have taken money from a company directly, it's written down below. If you're in a video, unless that video is explicitly sponsored, you never mention it.
Right.
And because audience comes from all over, they never know what it is. I mean, I was saying that analysts who say write on Forbes, analysts is a different level of media. You'll see them and they'll mention the 20 companies they have contracts with, because that's responsible disclosure. And to a certain level, if everybody's paying you, do you
if everybody's paying you, nobody is.
So
to a certain extent.
And for videos, I do small 15-second pre-roll ads. You have a couple of companies that you work with where you do 15 to 45-second either pre-roll or pre-roll plus later on plus post-roll ads. I've done a couple of sponsored videos in the past with Facebook Engineering, back pre-meta, because they did like PCIe card with an atomic clock on it. That was just engineering.
They were full meta.
Yeah. And you've done a couple of videos like that in the past that we're discussing, but at no point have we ever said after that we've done sponsored content,
right?
So what if we replace that 15, 30, 45-second pre-roll ad and we wear a shirt with 10 company logos, as if it was a racing jacket and you had your sponsors,
right?
Whether it's Busch Lager, Santander, Oppo smartphones,
AMD gaming.
Yeah. So rather and sell each spot for like $50 per video, and that's literally just what you wear for that video, and you don't do any ad spots.
You've got your sport coat with 8 to 10 advertisers, just patches on them, and their brand is now present in that video.
Yeah, and for the whole video as well.
Like they accuse people for graphics cards, even though like half the
I
even played on that in a video. It's like, oh, these graphics cards? Yeah, I bought those.
I mean, my background's a pinboard, which is an absolute mess. But I was thinking, okay,
you look like it's always sunny going, it's all connected.
Yeah. But I mean, it's I'll be honest, and I won't necessarily say numbers on the channel because I know that's a sore point for people. We were discussing how much we charge for those pre-roll ads. Your channel is 4 times the size of mine, and you've been going longer. I've got the historical thing, but I also can't, because I write for Anantech, I don't have any advertising on my channel about companies that I write on Anantech. I mean, like I say, I've done that Facebook video now. I can no longer write about Facebook. I'm not allowed on Anantech. So that was my trial of, let's cut a bridge of a company that I don't necessarily write about and see what happens and see if it affects me, because it's Facebook. It hasn't. But if we were to say sell 10 spots on a coat, that's probably a good marker for channels between my size, your size, and a bit bigger. Depending on whether it's like $50 a spot or $75 a spot, depending on whether it's a 10-minute video, a 20-minute video. It's, you were talking to me because you do this full time. You've got this plan of X videos per week through next year. And you've got sponsor spots for whether
I have X number sold already in 2022. I have Y number that I still need to fill. Some of those will be long-term contracts. Some of those will be month to month. Some of them will be like, hey, we have 3 spots to fill. Are you interested? And
rather than having to say, let's shave your tomatoes, as much as you enjoyed doing that ad spot.
That one was so much fun.
And it's, you get sponsored by Linode, I get sponsored by Linode. They're the guys there are very easy to work with. It's great. So, but there are others that are perhaps a little more. We want to customize.
I didn't do a Linode sponsor spot for this show. I feel bad now. Yes.
But anyway, give us some thoughts about what you think regarding having just patches. Would you be okay with us just wearing patches, or would you prefer?
Would you prefer graphics card boxes in the background?
Or a 15-second spot that you'd probably skip anyway.
Most of my ads, I'll be honest, are 60-second, which is 4 taps, because it's 15 seconds per skip.
Oh, I've changed how much I skip on my phone.
Okay.
So.
Oh, shoot, my Linode sponsor video isn't in. Crap. Because I'm on a different computer. I don't even have the video to play. Let's see if I can do this from memory. You ready?
Don't worry.
I'm going to charge them half for this one because this is like half effort.
If I do half of it, can I charge them half?
Absolutely. Today's video is brought to you by Linode. If you've ever thought about hosting your own servers, whether it be for home or business use, but don't have the space, money, power, cooling, etc. to put into the infrastructure, why not let Linode host them for you? If it runs on Linux, it'll run on Linode. That includes most of the tutorials from videos you've seen on my channel, like how to run your own ad blocking recursive DNS server, cloud-based Plex server, and more. What do you got? What's your spot?
So you can have GPUs with Linode. Their big new thing is NVMe storage.
That's right.
So
block level NVMe storage.
They are the largest independent cloud provider, and it's funny. It's great if you look at some of their benchmarking tests, and you can do your own comparison. They can be up to 4 times more cost effective. Than other leading cloud service providers. Performance per dollar, right? It's you get more, and you pay, or you pay less.
It's difficult live, isn't it?
We were discussing this earlier. It's my background is I really hate talking money because I undersell myself, and I feel like I'm taking advantage. It's like I said earlier. I don't really like accepting super chats like that because it feels like, oh, you gave me money, you pity on me to a certain extent. But also it's like, well, if you're going to help anybody get YouTube Premium, that's the 3rd time I've plugged YouTube Premium.
That's
right. So
he is not on their payroll, let me be clear.
Yeah, no. And so sponsor spots, I hate doing them. I try to do them really quickly. and then I try to use the video for as long, that recording for as long as possible.
With CPU plans starting at as little as $5 per month and scaling up to as high as you need to go, you'll find a CPU plan that fits your needs. And even if you don't use Linode to host your own servers and you host your own, you can use Linode to keep a backup off-site, because remember, RAID is not a backup. Visit linode.com/craftcomputing to get a $100 60-day credit just for signing up for a new account. That's linode.com/craftcomputing, and thanks again to Linode for sponsoring today's episode.
Your new child you've called, on stream Baby X.
Yeah.
And you have a little bit.
Yes. Can
you call your baby Raid? Instead of X, can we change it to Raid?
To Raid.
Baby Raid. If you had twins, that would be epic.
Right.
Baby Raid.
Yes.
Or Baby Shadow Legends.
Yeah.
Or Baby Backup. No, actually, no, that's bad.
If we called my baby Raid, would that technically be a backup because he's containing some of my code?
Or he has organs which may be of use in the future.
That's true. It's true.
So
I'm just hoping he's a compatible blood type at this point.
So RAID is a backup.
RAID can be a backup. RAID is a tool in a backup. It is not inherently itself a backup.
Don't say RAID is a tool. That's just disparaging your own child. So, baby RAID.
He hasn't grown up yet. He might be a tool. You don't know.
I've met a few. I am a few.
Yes. This show has gone on long enough.
We had planned 2 hours. We've gone almost 3.
It's almost 3.
I mean, if you want, if we go for another 10 minutes, you
want to make it an even 3?
You can go Tech from Tech Deals, because that was 3 hours 1 minute.
Oh, screw that guy. No, we'll totally do that. I got a couple more minutes left in me.
There's been a couple more super chats as well.
Yeah, all right. Let's hit those then.
I love the fact that this last hour has just been super chats and we've just gone off on various tangents.
Yeah.
This is my style. This is also why I don't stream myself a lot, because I know I'll just go on tangents. It's actually why I also like I like the fact that Tech Deals does it with his wife, with Rogue.
Yep.
And that's a great dynamic.
Yeah.
You have your 3 regular co-hosts. Mm-hmm. And that's a great dynamic. I'm a loner and I have 0 friends. So I have peers, colleagues, and acquaintances.
You know what? If you wanted to do a live stream and have me on, my time zone is more compatible than you, or with you, than my time zone is compatible with you.
Yeah.
And so let's work that out, because I've been on Andy's a couple of times.
Andy does live streams?
He's done a couple live streams. He's had me on. Yeah.
Oh no, I do remember the time where he was quaffing cans and had to run very quickly to the. Mind you, the Tech Deals live stream I did a couple of days ago, that went on for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Pretty much for the first 2 hours, you see me drinking a water bottle.
Yeah.
And I think I went through 2.
Yeah.
And then for like the last hour of the video, I didn't touch a single drop, because the minute that stream ended.
That is the typical end to my live stream. Is we'll go, thank you so much for watching Talking Heads every Wednesday night here on Craft Computing. As always, we will see you next week. Later, guys. And then we'll hit end and then go, I gotta pee. Yeah.
You've got 1 foot off the desk already.
Right.
Yeah.
You can tell the end of the stream is coming because one of us is doing this number.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great that Tech Deals, because he does like 5-hour streams sometimes.
Yeah, that's insane.
But he swaps out his wife for one of his children. See, he has 3 kids as well.
Yeah.
And again, like yours, they don't use their names on,
right,
obviously, because protection.
Yeah.
But they'll come in and they all have their own little personality, and it's great.
Yeah. I
have no one.
My oldest Miss. She's been on a couple of times. In videos. So I did a father-daughter build with her where we built her first computer, and then we actually built that arcade cabinet together.
Wow.
In a video. And
wholesome family content.
Exactly. And that's a lot of fun to do every once in a while. She was so funny, like unintentionally, in both videos, where in one she baited me into a question and just rocked me. She goes... So I was asking her questions like, what was your favorite part? What was your favorite game that you played on the arcade? And she goes, I have a couple questions for you. And I said, okay. And I said, awesome. Like, unscripted, just like,
yeah.
girl. And
Takes after her father.
right, and she goes,
You are the father, right?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. According to Maury, anyway. So she goes, how impressed were you when my first time of playing Art of Fighting, I beat you?
I laid the smackdown.
And I'm like, you little... We're going to have words when this camera's off.
You got 20 years of gaming and I took you down first time.
Right.
How small do you feel?
Right. Oh, it was so great.
Oh.
Andrew sends over $5. One more Andrew to the super chat. On milk, oat, and dairy are best. Sorry, hold on. Stupid Mac.
You have hotkeys.
I do. There we go.
On milk, oat and dairy are best for water.
Almond is second worst. Dairy is worst by far, as far as cows and production and everything else. Because we were talking about milk like an hour ago.
Oh yeah. Wait, so
oat and hemp are the best. The beers are hitting me.
Yeah, because he says dairy. So oat and hemp are best.
Yeah.
And then almond
and dairy is worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with dairy, you might also get burger.
Right. Yeah, there's byproduct of milk.
The byproduct. You heard it here first. The byproduct of milk is burger.
Burgers. I have a half a cow out in my fridge. So.
Is this what you are teaching your children? The byproduct of dairy is burger.
Tasty burger.
Welcome to America.
That's right. I'm really offended that in your Linode read you didn't do your American accent.
It is.
Is it?
I'm not putting it on hard enough then.
Yeah. You didn't do it hard enough here.
Oh, no, because in my last few videos...
No, like in your videos, we just did the Linode read, and you just did it straight.
Yeah.
You just did it straight. I'm so disappointed now.
We did talk about that earlier, didn't we, today? Yeah.
Howdy, y'all.
Yeah. I kind of... It's like what's your minimum specification? I just did that without thinking.
Yeah.
When I first recorded that, I was like, let's just do that. And that's just been the thing. And when I did the first American read, I mean, people criticize my accents. When I did the first American read of Linode, I was like I say, I don't like recording ads.
Yeah.
They really annoy... I want to be like like a Seth Meyers, Stephen Colbert. The ads they put in the ad breaks is done by other people.
Yes.
If I could do that, though. So I just did that, and it's like, okay. And then people kept commenting on it.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, when I do the next one, because they asked me to re-record for the NVMe stuff.
Yeah.
Which is fine, yeah. You're paying me, so
totally. Yeah.
So I did it again, and I might do it for the next one, and we'll see. And if I decide to put more hours of my week to doing it, maybe I get a Stetson. I've got my AMD FX belt buckle. I'm pretty sure I can get a plaid shirt. It's.
I can send you home with one. I've got a couple.
And what's the line from Full Metal Jacket? No, that's not family friendly for the stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Line,
only two things come from Texas.
Yeah.
That's that one.
You don't look much like a steer.
I bet you can. No. Okay, I'll stop there.
Skull sends over $10. $10 for Ian, and yes, it's with premium. Yeah, Skull has YouTube Premium, so he's in the green there.
Yeah, no, he was saying earlier there was something
technically yellow.
Something about premium he didn't realize. But
Andrew, another $5. What does Jeff think about the future of AMD APUs, desktop and mobile? Do you think the Steam Deck will propel the development of premium mobile APUs? Ooh.
So I answer this on Tech Deal Stream, so it's interesting to hear your question.
Yeah.
Your answer, sorry.
I think the Steam Deck is going to do a lot of good for a couple of different markets. One of which is the validity of gaming on an APU and only having a 720p screen. Everyone is the marketing for gaming has been so hyper-focused on resolution for 15 years. Like, 15 years ago, I played on 768 by 1024. And I was happy, damn it. Uphill in the snow both ways. But the gaming consoles have come out and gone like full HD gaming, and by that we mean 720p, but actually rendered at 540p. And then they went full HD, 1080p.
No, but you use it on your Sony TV that upscales it to 8K, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's been the gaming focus for a lot of people's entire lives at this point. Like, that when all of a sudden you're trying to market a handheld device and you only have a 720p screen,
but
or the Nintendo Switch has a 720p screen, or, you know, so on and so forth. Like, do you realize the Nintendo 3DS has a 240p screen? And it's still one of my favorite handhelds of all time? Like, resolution does not a gaming platform make. It's experience, it's portability, it's this combination of things that's kind of unobtainable and undefinable, you know, as to what the end experience is. And I think on top of GPD Win and a couple of other companies, and Neo, that are bringing gaming handhelds to the market, I think the Steam Deck is going to bring in, like, forget about the resolution and the specs and just play your damn games. And I hope that really starts to change the mindset of the market a little bit. As far as the APUs go, APUs have been around for a long time. They're going to continue to be around for a long time. I don't know that that's really a game-changing, game-breaking development outside of the resolution chasing. I think, and I've said for a long time, as long as you can play the game and you're happy playing the game, for years I was happy playing at 30 FPS. For some games, I'm still happy playing at 30 FPS.
For Civilization, 15.
Right.
Maybe.
Gosh, what games did I play at like 12 FPS and I was happy? Like, there are games that I had as a kid.
Minesweeper.
Right.
Okay, so that's a very long-winded answer.
Yeah.
I think my answer is very simple.
Yeah.
I think that the handheld gaming market is limited, and the only things that win have a dedicated internal ecosystem with good games.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So Switch, yes. Steam Deck, I think, will be a good one-generation product. I don't think Steam, based on its history, but Valve, based on its history, has any inclination to extend beyond one generation of product.
I would agree with that, based on their hardware trends that they've done, or previous products that they've done, previous projects. So
for however good the Steam Deck is, I don't believe it will make them enough money for them to warrant doing a second gen.
Yeah.
But going beyond this, so Qualcomm
the Steam Deck to me screams more reference system than anything else.
No, I just think it's a be all and end all in of itself, and once it's done, that's it. It will be up to whatever other companies do, whatever things.
Right.
I mean, the APU is custom. AMD only sells the APU to Valve. If anybody wants a different APU, they have to have a different contract with AMD.
Yeah.
It's not sold like a mobile chip.
Right.
Right, which is what the Neo uses, and the One X player or whatever it is.
4500U or whatever other chips.
So Qualcomm last week at the Snapdragon event announced the G3X handheld gaming reference dev kit.
Yes. In
partnership with Razer.
Yeah.
Which uses an ARM-based chip. Switch uses an ARM-based chip, I think, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah.
Which is fine and all, and it's ergonomics and all that other stuff that people say when they bring out a handheld gaming device, and it's meant to be a dev kit for devs to use the system. To me, that sort of product is DOA because it runs Android.
Yeah. And
the problem with Android is that every title, or pretty much every title, is built for touchscreen.
Yeah.
And the controller, essentially for any game you want to play, has to map to touchscreen controls.
Yes.
And that
it doesn't work.
It doesn't.
Just
sorry, I won't say never works. It just doesn't work.
Right.
That's a different level of.
There's a sliding scale of doesn't work, but the end result is it doesn't work.
There are some games out there built for Android which are controller native.
Yes.
They are few and far between. And if the only thing you want to do is play your smartphone games with a controller, you buy one of those cheap Chinese things from AliExpress and you map them.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, there's a different thing where the controls are actually properly put in to the system. You know, you're not connecting through a USB-C port or however. But things like the ROG phone, have done this for a couple of generations. There's is it the Nubia Magic, or a couple of the Chinese companies have done this. Razer has literally just launched a Razer Chroma cooling fan for the back of your Razer phone to do something similar. Android gaming systems do not work because the system is too open.
Right.
If you locked it down and you had first and third party game developers who were specifically writing for the controllers to that system and native, it would work. So I have family members who work in QA, game QA. Game QA is a terrible job. Nobody should do it. If you ever think that...
I get to play video games for a living.
No, you get to play Barbie's Dream House and run into a corner for 3 weeks trying to get it to glitch out. But
I like that game.
So it's fun because when I was between PhD and deciding whether to do an Antec full time, I actually went to work with the company my brother worked with for, I think I lasted 3 days. It was so mind numbing. I just wanted out. But yeah, part of that is going through the game and all the pop ups that showcase, making sure that the left trigger icon was properly rendered for the platform it was doing, and making sure that all the references to controls were native to the platform. The problem with Android is you never know what controllers you're using. So Steam...
The only native controller is touchscreen.
Yes, and that's the Android's problem. So I think the gaming handheld system, you either have one-off products that work, or likely work with this with the Steam Deck. We'll wait until we actually get hardware on hand. I haven't ordered one. I think you have.
I have.
Right, so we'll see how that goes.
Well, I put $5 down.
Yeah. So and when's your ETA now?
February.
Okay.
I got one of the first 2,000 orders or something like that.
Okay, cool.
Everyone else was down, and I'm local to Seattle. I can get in.
Yeah. I would have loved to have been part of the press trip that went Linus.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah, I mean, but I was international and no travel was happening at that point. But
they didn't call me.
Yeah, it's so. I think the Steam Deck can work as a one-off product. Just don't expect long-term support because Valve and Valve standard time. I don't think that.
Well, at any rate, there won't be a third version.
Yeah, I don't think the G3X works just because Android. If Qualcomm really wanted that to work, they should have been a different operating system first. And you could ask, Steam Deck is also a Linux variant, as is Android, but that's still SteamOS. That's still a kind of its own ecosystem, so that might work. If there was an Apple handheld running iOS. Again, it's a touchscreen native. Right, so you have to work within those bounds. G3X, I don't think works. I think that's a bad move. This is Qualcomm trying to fish for markets to go into.
I think it is too. It feels like let's cast a line up there and see if there's any bites. And if they can partner with Razer and put a gaming name behind it and go, hey, maybe something will happen with this and we'll come up with a successful product. But for me, this doesn't seem like a well fleshed out idea. And I kind of said as much when I looked at the dev kit this last week in press photos. I went, this is literally an Xbox One controller that's cut in half with half of a smartphone in between it.
So the important thing I think the dev kit was criticized for was look, feel, understanding. It's a dev kit.
Oh, totally.
Right. The panel could have been TN and the color accuracy could have been way off. As long as it performs and the buttons work, it doesn't even matter how the buttons feel. Right. So it's a dev kit. If it was a PVT sample, pre-release, then that's different.
It feels like they're, because of the way the dev kit is designed, it feels like they're fishing for a market that for me doesn't feel like exists.
I believe that. I believe that's to be correct.
You've got to have ergonomics and portability and everything else.
There is a Linux port for Dreamcast.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
I purchased the Dreamcast the week it went out of production.
Did you?
I was like, this is awesome. Phantasy Star Online using a 56k modem.
Oh yeah.
It's my jam. For those who did play Phantasy Star Online, Do you remember the spread needle? I found one. It was a bad one, and I found a guy who gave me a hacked good one. That was like a 1 in 720,000 drop chance, and it for any game that has OP weapons, spread needle was OP.
No, I was playing StarCraft those days. So
Yeah.
Let's see.
I do think we've gone beyond the tech deals stream.
We have. We're at 3:13, so I'm going to read the last super chats and then we are out. For realsies this time.
We got to be up in less than 5 hours.
Right.
And you've got to drive.
Yeah.
I don't envy you.
I'm good. Big Spoon, $1.99. Hi. HIGH. I'm assuming that's an Oregon reference. Another Big Spoon. Pickle Beer. Bite My Bits sent. Oh, he wants me to send the pickle beer to Big Spoon. Or Bite My Bits. I think I could do that. And Zeus sends over $10. Hey, Jeff and Ian. Would either of you try the Linux challenge? LTT has gotten a lot of criticism for their goes at it, and I feel like you guys would have a cool take on it with your own experiences.
I would come out of it with a shaved head and much broken hardware. I do not want to do the Linux experience.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal with the Linux experience, and I said as much in my Deeploading Windows 11 video, and of course, whenever you talk about how Windows is bad, you get the Linux fanboys coming out of the woodwork going, well, just install Linux. Everything works. No, it doesn't. It doesn't work. It doesn't work natively. This is inherent of the open source community. It's both good and bad, is that while there's a lot of talented people out there, there's a lot of great programs out there, there's also no official oversight as far as features, development, UX, etc. to make an experience coherent, nor do any of the large companies that are developing, standardized software a la Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro or etc. have any investment into Linux whatsoever. And so your top-end developers with standards don't put anything into the environment, and so you're left to third-party people and independent developers to maintain these projects, of which they're not doing it on standards-based.
Sudo apt-get install htop.
Yeah.
I do not want to have to explain that to my grandmother.
Right. I think, circling back to the Steam Deck, I think the only way for Linux to get major, and I mean major as far as like more than 0.5%, as which they've been fluttering with for the last 20 years. The only way for Linux as a whole to get more than 0.5% of adoption of the hardcore enthusiasts who go, F Microsoft, I just want something else, is for some company, any company, to take a financial interest in a consumer version of Linux and make it user-friendly.
No, make it closed source. Make it a closed ecosystem that can be well defined.
Yes,
that's always the problem with Linux. Yes, you can do everything in a concept of well defined. As I was saying earlier, Qualcomm with their 64-bit emulation on Windows is having trouble because everybody does something differently in the installs.
Yes,
right. If you try and do that on Linux, you have to redefine your baseline. Now, usually the baseline is the kernel.
Right.
So if you can
and kernel to kernel installations change as far as dependencies and roots and everything else.
There's that rock chip that thinks that November 31st exists,
right?
And they had to patch around it because somebody in that company didn't realize what was in the calendar.
3389 or whatever that. Yeah.
Always a great story.
Yeah. So
along with Hunter 2.
Hunter 2. Yeah. Until a company, and Valve may be that company.
It's not.
It's not. It could be.
It's not.
They want to be, but they're not going to do it. Until a company takes a financial commercial interest in making Linux into a viable consumer operating system. And when I say viable, I mean you can do everything, but I never have to open the terminal window. Ever. For anything. I'm even looking at Windows and PowerShell right here.
I know exactly the operating system you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's called Android.
Right.
Or Chrome OS.
Right.
Which are just Linux with closed system.
Closed system, closed
IDs.
ecosystem.
Yeah. That's the only way it works.
Right. And you see how fantastic those are? But even then, developers aren't taking a major front seat as far as AAA development in Android gaming, in Android production, in Chrome OS applications.
It's a chicken egg
the
scenario.
OS is great in some regards. The OS is a great experience and fairly well unified. But
if game developers simply had an option in Unity that said compile for Linux, compile for Windows, a lot of gaming problems would just go away.
Yeah.
But they don't. And I don't know how much of an impetus there is to do that in Unity and Unreal.
Right. For 0.5% of the market share.
Yeah. I mean, if it's just a drop down, sure.
Yeah.
And as long as there are no edge cases where it screws up,
right.
There are always edge cases it screws up because graphics drivers on Linux are still not consistent.
Let's get NVIDIA on board with Linux first.
Yeah. Nah, no. You want Windows Rendering Engine or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
As part of my reviews at Anantech, I test Crysis rendering in CPU only mode.
Yes.
And I do that by disabling my GPU, and that forces the system to render everything on the CPU through the CPU cores.
Yep.
And the highest frame rate I've gotten at 320 by 200 is about 30 frames a second, 35.
That was on one of the Rome 64s, wasn't it?
No, so there's a limitation in that. The limitation is either 16 cores or 23 threads. Right? So, yes, it's a really odd limitation. I know, I did all the testing.
Yeah.
This is using the GOG version, so it's standalone, it's not updatable.
No, I've got that too.
Yeah, so you have to decide, with certain CPUs, is it better to do 23 threads, with each thread pinned to a specific core, or 60 or 32 threads pinned to 16 cores.
Yeah.
Usually it's that one.
Yeah.
Especially with, but there are fundamental limits. Go to anantech.com/bench, and all of my benchmark data is there. 170 plus CPUs.
Yeah.
Probably not yours, but there are over 1,000 CPUs.
Also check out Ian at TechTechPotato. You can find him on Twitter and YouTube both. I do recommend checking out his channel, following him on Twitter. You can also hit him up at Ian Cuttress on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at Craft Computing. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. Make sure to drop this video a like. Hit me up on Patreon so you can get access to the exclusive Discord server. Chat with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, and even Ian is there. And
I have a Discord server as well. Again, sign up on Patreon. If you want to BS me, it's going to cost you $1.
That's right.
Or £1.50.
I'm an influencer. Even influencing the creators now. Thank you so much for joining us on this Thursday night. I know it's been a late stream and a long stream, but you guys are awesome. Ian, thank you so much for joining me. This has been fun.
Always a pleasure.
Yes.
And we're going to do this again.
Yes.
Even if it means next year at Supercomputing and we have to do it on site.
Oh, heck yes.
We're going to do it.
We will do this. We will do this again. Heck, if I have to fly to London myself, we'll do this again.
GI Pilot 1 says Jeff is like, pee now.
I'm rushing the outro, am I?
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you all so much for watching this one. And as always, we will see you next Wednesday. Cheers, everyone.